Hey guys, welcome to a new video. Like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy. Without any further interruptions, enjoy the what if.
Chapter 51. I am free. Itachi was a little intrigued when he found his partner sitting on a treetop. His eyes shifted towards the dark sky waiting to be illuminated by the sun which was about to arise in a few minutes. In the few weeks that he had known Naruto, the boy usually didn't get up so early, and this intrigued Itachi. Which even for him was a rare thing. As the man slowly started to climb the tall tree, he wondered just how much interest he was regaining in life and the world. A month ago, he was a shell. A body without a soul waiting to be freed by Sasuke, and atone for his sins. And he still wanted to atone for them, but something was changing inside of him. He was still willing to die by his little brother's hands, yet at the same time his heart was urging him to look at life from a different perspective. To see the world from the eyes of just Itachi, a young simple boy, and not an Anbu captain, an Uchiha, or anything like that. And for the first time in his long miserable life, it made him happy. And it all happened due to the young boy who changed Itachi's entire life. Naruto, said Itachi in a very hushed voice, as he reached the top of the tree and slowly sat beside the boy. And surprisingly, Naruto had a peaceful smile on his face, a very beautiful smile. Shush, just look, feel it, Itachi, replied Naruto in a very peaceful voice. Feel what? Asked Itachi curiously, as Naruto pointed his finger at the far end of the sky where the sun slowly stared to rise. Before Itachi could ask another question, a wild cool breeze flew past him sending sparkling sensations across his entire body. Minute tremors passed through the lake making the water move slowly, and the sky that was dark before slowly started to become bright as the magnificent sun slowly started to rise up in the sky. It's beautiful, said an amazed Itachi, and Naruto chuckled when he saw a small smile on the Uchiha's face. Maybe life is not so dark as we imagine it to be, Itachi, said Naruto in a very happy tone, and slowly inhaled the fresh air which nature was showering over him as a nectar, which was slowly rejuvenating his dull life. What do you mean? Asked Itachi curiously, even he was a little pleased on seeing the improvement in Naruto's morale. Maybe the arrival of the Senju woman had sparked some hope in the boy, or maybe Naruto had finally found his peace, or something else. Whatever it was, Naruto looked to be very happy and hopeful in a very long time. We spend our entire lives not saying the things we want to say. Things which should say, always hiding behind signals, perceptions and all such things. You once asked me what I wanted to do if I survived this mission. Asked Naruto quietly. Yes, I've done some terrible things in life, things which I'm not proud of. But I also did things that protected people. I can't change my past and the actions that I have performed. All my life, I lived by the Anbu code and put the village above everything else, even above my family. I don't know if it was right or wrong, I don't know how this world would change after all this, the only thing I know. And the only thing I am gonna do is tell Kakashi, Anko, Sasuke, Sakura, Konohamaru, Emiko, Nono, Tsunade, Hiruzen, my rookie classmates, and Kurenai in plain and simple words, that I love all of them very much. And I will dedicate my entire life to love and protect them, and atone for my sins in this way. This is what I want if I survive this mission, explained Naruto proudly, as the rays of the morning sun hit the boy's face and showed Itachi the feelings in his eyes. Is this your final choice? Asked Itachi curiously, only to receive a bright smile from Naruto. I'm going to take Nono's advice and retire from Anbu. I have lived in the shadows for too long. I want to go back to my family, go back to my home, no matter what darkness awaits me, I am going back to my family, said Naruto in a very happy voice. So, have you forgiven yourself for the things that happened in your past? Asked Itachi in a very straightforward manner, as he too wanted to know the answer which might change his outlook towards life. No, I can't forgive myself ever. My best friends Shin and Sai are still dead, the blood of innocence is still on my hands and there is nothing I can say that can justify it. But I'm tired, Itachi, tired of this life, all these lies that I've said to my family. But not anymore. If I survive this mission I will live my life on own terms as Naruto Hatake, the person who I was before all this shit happened," explained Naruto. He was surprised when Itachi averted his eyes from him, and became silent for the next few minutes. Though Naruto knew what his partner was going through, because Itachi was the only person in the world who had been through that hellish life. "I'm happy for you." Naruto congratulated Itachi, and offered his hand to Naruto, which the boy shook happily. "It's never too late, Itachi, maybe you should do the same thing with Sasuke. It will give him peace, it'll give you peace in a lifetime of war," advised Naruto, and he didn't back down when Itachi glared at him. "Hokage-sama has ordered you to go to Suna, find out what's happening there and report back to me," said Itachi quickly, making Naruto laugh as the boy could clearly see how insecure Itachi was about his actions with Sasuke. "I'll do that. But think about what I said," requested Naruto. "And what will happen if I do that?" asked Itachi in an angry voice. "It's the right thing to do. It's easy for you to say, you can still go back. But what about me? What grand prize do I get if I do this?" asked Itachi in a frustrated voice. "You got what you asked for, brother. No paradise, no hell, just more of the same. I can still pull a few strings and give you a life with Sasuke if you want," said Naruto honestly, and the shocked look on Itachi's face was priceless. "Naruto, you." Naruto slowly stood up and put on his face mask, and casted a small glance towards his confused partner who was remorsefully avoiding eye contact and just staring at the lake. "I mean it, Itachi. What would you rather have? Peace or freedom?" asked Naruto sagely. Itachi hesitantly looked up to answer the question, but alas, Naruto was gone, making a tired sigh escape from Itachi's lips. "Well, you really suck at goodbyes, you know that." Konoha. Hinata Hyuga aimlessly walked through the streets of Konoha. She idly wondered how things were finally settling down in her troubled village. Things had been quite messy in the last few months. The man she loved had been named a traitor and murderer, and only Kami knew where he was now. Her classmate and good friend, Chuji, was buried in the ground. Sakura was moving on with her life and was busy training under Shizune Kato. While Anko and Kurenai were looking after the task force with Kakashi and Guy assisting them sometimes. The rest of the rookies were just trying to overcome their grief of losing a good friend. This was the first time they were going through such a thing. Particularly Shikamaru and Ino. Sasuke was reverting back to his old self, and was becoming a big A. Before she could finish her thoughts, she was suddenly pulled inside a nearby alley. Her Byakugan instantly activated as she looked at her assailant. "What the?" Sasuke asked Hinata in shock. But the poor girl was shocked when she saw the state the boy was in. His eyelids were completely dark, showing he had cried or didn't sleep for a few days, his clothes were shaggy and his hair were a mess. "Hinata, what happened to you?" asked Hinata worriedly. Even if the boy was a jackass, he was still a person. "I'm sorry." Danger bells rang in Hinata's heart when Sasuke collapsed on his knees and tears freely slipped from his eyes. Acting on her female instincts, she rushed towards the boy and enveloped him in a warm hug. "Shush, it's going to be all right," comforted Hinata, and gently rubbed the boy's back. "I killed them." "What?" As soon as those words left Sasuke's mouth, he came face to face with a shocked Hinata who had a clear look of disbelief on her face. "I fucked up and got Tokuma Hyuga and Shinji Hyuga killed. It was madness back there, and I tried to fire an explosive tag towards the enemy forces. But it slipped from my hands," said Sasuke in a regretful voice. "Oh Kami," replied Hinata in shock. "I was scared, it was madness and I just jumped away while they got caught in the explosion. The blast was at point-blank range which destroyed them completely. They died because of me," said Sasuke sadly. "Why are you telling me this? Why did you lie to everyone?" asked Hinata in harsh tone. "I didn't know what to do, they would have locked me in a cell for this. Naruto was the only one I trusted and relied on, but he's gone and I'm all alone now." "Hinata, I didn't want to kill them, I didn't," said Sasuke regretfully, as more tears slipped from his eyes. Hinata couldn't understand how to interpret the situation. On one hand, she felt extremely sorry for Sasuke. If this was the truth, then he was not a murderer like she thought, he was just a scared boy. Wave Mission was a madness, a horror story for new genin like them. They lost Chuji there. Sakura barely made it back, Shino got fucked up badly. And Sasuke, he was just a broken boy who lost his best friend a few weeks ago. I am sorry for being rude to you, before. I just didn't know what to do. I didn't kill your family members, Hinata. Before Sasuke could further testify, he was silenced when Hinata enwrapped him in a warm, tight hug. Hinata, I'm glad you told me the truth, said Hinata sadly, as Sasuke returned the hug. I can't lie anymore, Hinata. You can report this to the Hokage, replied Sasuke, but she cut him off by tightening the embrace. It won't do any good, you didn't kill them. But I doubt that the Hokage would see it that way. I just don't want to see one of my friends getting hurt anymore, explained Hinata patiently. You forgive me? Asked Sasuke hesitantly. Hi, I'm your friend, Sasuke. You don't have to bear everything all alone, comforted Hinata. Why are you doing this? Asked Sasuke sadly. You trusted me enough to tell the truth, and I believe you are innocent and it was just an accident which no one else needs to know. Besides, this is what Naruto would have done, said Hinata happily, and embraced Sasuke tightly. But the poor girl was unaware of the devious look that appeared on the boy's face as he returned the hug. His Mangekyo quickly came to life and an evil smile appeared on his face. I thought it was impossible for one person to change the world, it was unrealistic. But now, I see the truth of this evil world. My hands are already stained with blood. Before creation there must be destruction. Before peace there must be war, and if my soul stands in the way, I'll just toss it aside, thought Sasuke darkly. His eyes shifted towards the girl in his arms. She was just going to be another one of his pawns in his holy war. And he had to admit, he was enjoying this. Naruto, I finally realized the reality of this evil world. That's why I'm going to purify it. And if you two fight against me, I'll welcome you with open arms. After all, we are brothers. Sooner. In the middle of the chaotic desert, a young boy could be seen. His dark red eyes were attentively observing the large walls that were in front of him. The weather was extremely hot and the continuous sand waves were annoying as hell. However, it didn't stop him. After all, he had a job to do. Naruto slowly lifted up his hood as his blonde hair freely flowed in the air and he just looked at the vast village of Sunagakure. He knew his mission had to be accomplished within 3 days, as he had to meet Orochimaru at the end of the week. His mind could still remember everything that Kabuto had said that day, about how Orochimaru could bring his mother back and his daughter. He didn't know what the truth was, but it would be a disaster if he trusted those monsters. Orochimaru was a murderer, liar, and a monster who betrayed his own people, his teacher, and his countrymen. He could not be trusted. I'm sorry, Kurama. It's never too late. I'm glad you saw reason, said the Biju in relief. I was troubled that day, I was not thinking straight, replied Naruto in a guilty voice. It's okay, it happens. Just focus on finishing this mission and getting back to Kurenai. Okay, asked Kurama patiently. Hi, you are a good person, Naruto, complimented Kurama, bringing a smile on Naruto's face. And you are a good friend on whom I can depend. Kurama, from now I'll be honest with everyone and will not tell any lies. You'll do the same for me, won't you? Asked Naruto curiously. He didn't know what those simple words meant to Kurama. The Biju felt extremely guilty. Here was the man who trusted him immensely. How could he just say to Naruto that he had betrayed him? No, he couldn't do that. Naruto was finally moving on in his life, towards a better future with Kurenai. If he told him the truth about Rei, about what he and Itachi had done on Hiruzen's orders, then everything would fall apart. He couldn't watch Naruto suffering from that feeling again, but at the same time he knew he couldn't hide the truth forever. I'll tell you everything after Operation Ghost, and once you return to Konoha with Kurenai. I'll tell you everything, no matter how much you may hate me after that, thought Kurama seriously. Kurama. The Biju gave a false smile to Naruto. He had to bear this sin a little longer. Yeah, no more secrets. Chapter 52. In the vast desert of Sunagakure, a young boy was currently hiding within a small earth dome. His dark sharingan was briefly observing the small notes that were in his hands. With the evening sun about to disappear, the light in the desert was slowly getting reduced. Kurama couldn't understand why his container had stayed in the same position since the past 4 hours. And they were in a damn desert. "Naruto, why are you not infiltrating the village?" asked Kurama in an irritated voice, making a tired sigh escaped from Naruto's lips. His Biju friend was indeed an impatient entity. "I can't just barge into a hidden village, despite being the weakest village among the 5 great villages. Suna does have security measures. The reason I have been waiting is because they have a barrier around the village. If a person with even a good amount of chakra crosses their border, the Suna ninja are alerted and they bring her into custody for interrogation," explained Naruto patiently. "So we can't enter into Suna?" asked Kurama disappointedly with a small frown on his gigantic face. "I didn't say that. There is a time period of 20 seconds when the barrier teams are changed. In the time frame, the barrier is down and we can infiltrate into the village, but every checkpoint will be well guarded, so there is only one way to get in," said Naruto seriously, as he quickly destroyed the notes in his hand. He had memorized each and every route, district name, important locations of the Sand Village, and was now ready for his recon mission. "How did you even get such vital information?" asked Kurama curiously, getting a small smirk on the boy's face. "Hiruzen has the best spy master in the world. The information which Jiraiya supplied indeed proves his ability," said Naruto in a respectful tone, but Kurama just gave a nod. "If you say so. This is a recon mission, Kurama. Hiruzen has ordered me to avoid any kind of battles until necessary. We go in, scout the enemy's forces, their weapons and formations along with every other important information. Now let's get going," said Naruto in an excited voice, and a small grin came on the Biju's face when Naruto performed a very familiar set of hand seals. Kuchio's no jutsu summoning technique. Few minutes later, Naruto currently stood on top of his crow. His eyes were keenly observing the small watch on his hand as well as the sand village that was hundreds of feet beneath him. This may be the first time when he would be making an aerial drop from such a height. But it was the only way of getting into Suna, and he had just 20 seconds to make it happen. As soon as the timer on his wristwatch changed to 0, he quickly jumped off his summon as the animal disappeared in a puff of smoke. 19, 18, 17, 16, counted Naruto, as he neared towards one of the rooftops. He activated his sharingan and saw the barrier around Suna disappearing right on time. As he neared towards the rooftop, he fired several kunai that hit various points in the alley between 2 rooftops. Instantly the ninja wires strapped to the kunais got stretched due to the distance between the weapons, effectively creating a tough webbing. 7, 6, 5, 4. On the last second he crossed through the open barrier and quickly twisted himself while balancing his body on top of the ninja wire webbing which acted as his landing pad. And when he looked up, the barrier was back up once again. "Damn, that was close," said Naruto in a relieved voice. Naruto didn't waste any more time, and removed all the kunai and ninja wires, followed by sealing them into a small scroll. Performing a single hand seal, he created 4 shadow clones. "All of you scout 1 district respectively. Try to find out the strength of enemy forces, their weapons, and battle plans if you can. Avoid any battles at all costs. This is strictly a recon mission only. If things get too hot, then evade the enemy troops and quickly disperse yourself." "Are we clear?" asked Naruto seriously. "Hi," whispered all the clones in unison. "Scatter." Kurama watched as the shadow clones transformed themselves into normal civilians and went in different directions, while the original Naruto transformed himself into a middle-aged man with spiky brown-colored hair. He had dark black-colored eyes and an oval-shaped face. His clothes were ordinary too, with a simple blue-colored shirt and dark black pants along with a pair of sandals covering his feet. Without another word, Naruto hopped down into the corner of the street, and after a few moments started walking through the dirty road. His veteran eyes were attentively observing the average-looking buildings of the Sand Village. There were very less number on windows on the houses, and the shops and restaurants alongside the road looked to be quite old. From what he had seen so far, Suna was definitely not having a great economy during these past few years. Maybe this reason combined with the decreasing missions from the daimyo of their nation were harming the village and raising doubts over its survival in the longer run. He spotted a bar on the right-hand side of the road, and decided to visit it in order to gather some information before starting the next phase of his mission. Naruto knew he could not afford a fight. He was barely carrying any weapons in order to prevent himself from looking suspicious. Apart from 3 kunai and a medkit, he was not carrying any other supplies. Everything was sealed in a small scroll which he had hidden inside a dark corner of the village, away from the prying eyes of shinobi or curious little children. Let's go and get some information. Konoha. Hinata smiled a little when she found Sasuke sitting idly on the banks of Naka River. These past few days had been some of the best days of their lives. Contrary to popular belief, Sasuke was not an arrogant person, he was just a boy who was lost like her. Sasuke had no clan, no family left. And with Naruto gone, he barely had any best friends left. While she still had a clan and family, but still she felt all alone. Hinata knew the people of her clan considered her a failure, and since she got the caged bird seal, all that was left for her was to become a proper member of the branch family. Within a few months, her younger sister Hanabi was going to be announced the next heir of the clan. In a way, she didn't have anything left. Are you just going to stand there, Hinata? Asked Sasuke in an annoyed voice, making her smile. Gamen, said Hinata shyly, and came forward. You seem awfully quiet, said Hinata curiously, as Sasuke rested his chin on his knees. Hinata, is there anything left for you to protect? A reason for your existence in this cursed shinobi world? Asked Sasuke seriously, and Hinata was instantly going to say yes, but then the memories of the past few months came flooding back in her mind. Her banishment from the main branch, Naruto's defection, Chuji's death, and so many more tragedies. I don't think so, Sasuke, said Hinata sadly. Me too. I'm tired of losing the people I love, tired of the constant problems of the ninja world. I'm fed up of being a shinobi, said Sasuke bitterly, and clenched his fists tightly. But this is the world we live in, there is nothing we can do, argued Hinata in a defeated voice, but was silenced when he gave her a defiant look. There is always a way. I hate this world. It doesn't matter if you are strong or weak, the only thing you feel every time is pain, said Sasuke angrily. Sasuke, despite being an Uchiha, I couldn't protect Naruto. Konoha made him suffer in ways I could have never imagined, and yet he always tried to make me happy. He was just a child and yet the villagers treated him like trash. Said Sasuke regretfully, and Hinata was surprised on seeing the affection the boy had for Naruto. Looking at him now, convinced Hinata that even if Naruto was now an enemy of Konoha, Sasuke still considered him a brother and deeply cared for him. But when he looked into her eyes, he was surprised when he saw some deep affections for Naruto. You love him, don't you? Asked Sasuke kindly, and smirked when her cheeks became bright red. I care about him, but now I just don't know what I feel, said Hinata honestly. Hinata, I want to stop the hatred in this world. To stop this curse so that more Narutos don't suffer, so that people like Chuji don't die in vain. This world is full of chaos and violence. I want to put an end to it, so that our friends and family can live peacefully, declared Sasuke passionately. But how can we do that? The shinobi world, said Hinata, but was cut off when his sharingan came alive. What if there are no more shinobi? With Naruto. The young Anbu captain had just finished inspecting another district of the village. So far, everything looked ordinary except for the fact that there were a high number of genin roaming around the village. One of his clones had also dispersed itself and passed on some information about a large weapons cache in the northern district, while his other 3 clones were still busy with their tasks. From his little visit to the bar, he had discovered the people of Suna were definitely on edge. The Kazekage was increasing military supplies and combat drills, and such activities only increased before the start of a war. Suna was desperate, that much was certain. He turned around and started walking into a small alley, but his danger instincts kicked in when he didn't see a single person in the area. He used his sensory abilities and discovered a few faint chakra signatures hiding in the nearby houses. Civilians, thought Naruto, but he became very alert when wild gusts of sand started flowing in the entire street and a person could be seen walking towards him. Naruto narrowed his eyes and saw a boy with fair skin and short, spiky, auburn hair and pale blue-green colored eyes. He was wearing a black full body suit with t-shirt-like sleeves, 3/4 length legs, and an open neck. With this, he also wore a white cloth over his right shoulder and the left side of his hips, and a white leather band system over the left shoulder and right side of his hips. With this leather band, he carried around a large gourd around which sand was swelling magically. His black-colored forehead protector was wrapped around his band, and he had the kanji of love embedded on his forehead. Naruto, he's the Aikibi's one-tailed Jinchuriki, warned Kurama, but alas it was too late. A maniacal grin came on the young boy's face as he glared at Naruto. Mother wants your blood. Chapter 53. Gaara. Otogaku. In a dark corner of a secret base a person was attentively operating on a body on his table. He was a tall man with extremely pale skin and waist-length black hair, but the most intimidating thing about him were his slit golden eyes that could generate fear in even the strongest warriors. It was fair to say that Orochimaru was perhaps one of the most dangerous criminals of the ninja world. A former Sannin and a ninja of Konohagakure, infamously knows through the titles of Butcher and Mad Scientist. And titles well deserved, in fact. The attainment of knowledge requires sacrifice and dedication, it requires a will to cross boundaries which humans often confine themselves into. And he was happily breaking all the boundaries in order to become that supreme being. That thought alone sent tickling sensations across his body, making him chuckle lightly. I see, you're still busy with your experiments, said Kabuto slyly, making his mentor smile. How was your meeting with Uzumaki Naruto? Asked Orochimaru curiously, and watched as Kabuto adjusted his glasses. He always wondered why his student had the strange habit of adjusting his glasses before starting a conversation. Then again, Kabuto was a weird genius. Talented boy, but indeed weird. So far, the reports about him seem accurate. He has indeed betrayed Konoha, and is strong enough to dispose all my test subjects like they were flies. He is extremely strong, even without his Biju's powers, was Kabuto's swift and honest reply. Interesting, very interesting. Orochimaru-sama, I still doubt his intentions. The Hokage has indeed sent hunter ninja and Anbu squads after Naruto, but I sense a conspiracy here. All of this seems very easy, suggested Kabuto, but Orochimaru shook his head. You're right and wrong at the same time, said Orochimaru mysteriously, and chuckled when a frown came on Kabuto's face. What do you mean? I have seen from time to time that rebellion is in mankind's nature, said Orochimaru confidently. Meaning, before the shinobi and ninja village system existed, there was the clan wars era. It was an era of constant warfare and yet humanity was surviving and constantly developing. You might even say people were happy in that system, except for a few, said Orochimaru seriously. You mean Hashirama Senju, the founder of Konoha and the shinobi world? Asked Kabuto smartly, getting a nod from his mentor. Accurate. There will always be people who can never fit into the system. No matter how hard they try, they are either unfit to live in the system or the system rejects them itself. And those selected few humans always become the ones who change the world, for better or for worse, said Orochimaru confidently. And where does Naruto fit into this? Questioned Kabuto curiously. He doesn't fit at all, he's an outcast who was rejected from the system. It was not his fault, yet his own people threw him away, but he still tried to adjust himself in the system until now. And what about Uchiha Sasuke? Opposite but yet the same, he was accepted into the system but is unable to adjust himself in it. If he ever realized the injustice done to his clan, and to his best friend, he will become quite a threat. These two along with a few others are prime examples of how unbalanced and hypocritical the ninja world is. It speaks of peace yet starts wars, it promotes equality yet discriminates at the same time, preaches love yet plants hatred inside people's heart by making them fight for power, vengeance, grudges. In a way, the ninja world is perhaps the most flawed system ever created in human history, explained Orochimaru briefly. Kabuto was quite surprised by the depth of his mentor's knowledge. Not only did Orochimaru understand science, but he understood the world itself. Guess, he was a Sannin in every aspect. And you plan to use these too? Asked Kabuto knowingly, but frowned when Orochimaru shook his head again. I have no interest in the petty affairs of the ninja world, although I do have a grudge against Konoha. That village rejected the knowledge which I accumulated through years of sacrifice by saying I broke human morals and emotions. I have never seen such hypocrites in my entire life. Those fools can gladly suppress and destroy other people of the world for their comfort and yet speak of peace. That's why it has to be destroyed for attainment of knowledge. Besides, it would be fun watching those hypocritic fools die painfully. Maybe some of them can become useful samples, mused Orochimaru, and Kabuto smirked on seeing the excitement in the man's eyes. So, you have no interest in Sasuke-kun's powers? Asked Kabuto. I never said that, Kabuto. Although, Naruto is a totally different case. He is free to take his revenge as long as he doesn't get in my way. I actually find the boy very interesting. Despite the odds against him, he became this powerful and fighting against the entire Fire Nation all alone, stated Orochimaru in an impressed voice. Do you really think Naruto will join us? Questioned Kabuto doubtfully, as Orochimaru wiped a small blood stain from his coat. Hiruzen not only dug his own grave but also that of the ninja world when he decided to hide the mysterious existence and death of Naruto's clone daughter. Being the emotional human, the betrayal Naruto will feel will be much more in comparison to the treatment Konoha gave him all these years. Rei was the closest thing to what Naruto could call a family, and to realize Konoha and the ninja world even took that away from him, and even went as far as to eliminate all trace of her existence would be the ultimate betrayal. With the power of Kyuubi and his thirst for vengeance against the ninja world, Naruto can very well become the destroyer of the ninja world. All it takes to start a giant fire is a mere spark. And all it takes to change the course of history is the will of a single man, and Naruto Uzumaki is that person. Tsunagaku, looking into Gaara's bloodthirsty eyes, brought a smile on Naruto's face, which completely surprised his partner. Naruto, you're smiling. He wants to kill you, moron. Scolded Kurama, but the mysterious smile still remained on Naruto's face. While you are seeing hatred in this Jinchuriki's eyes, I can only see pain. If the Biju were mistreated by humans, then the Jinchuriki received far worse treatment. Being considered as weapons of mass destruction, to be used and thrown aside on the villagers' whims. If not for Kakashi, I would have turned out like him or worse, joined Danzo's revolt. The longer I live in this ninja world, the more atrocities I and people of my kind suffer. What was our crime? You ask me why I never talk about my parents. Yes, not only did they give me a life of pain, but left me all alone. And for what? Protecting Konoha. The very village spat on me, and what right did they even have to make me a Jinchuriki? I was a human being and not some property which they could freely use for their own ambitions. People of this world have forgotten the meaning of being human. They think all of them are kami god. If they can judge and discriminate people like me, then why can't I do the same? I don't hate my parents, but I don't like them either. As for this boy, I understand his pain and that's why I will not kill him even if he is Konoha's enemy, explained Naruto seriously. Then why are you even protecting Konoha? Questioned Kurama, and frowned when Naruto became extremely silent. Answer me, Naruto. I'm just tired of this ninja world. The only reason I'm still fighting for Konoha is due to the few people in the village who showed me kindness and love. And as far as the village is concerned, let's just say they are receiving my allegiance only due to Shin and Sai. But then again, it's not enough. And I might just retire from this ninja life after this mission, said Naruto honestly. I understand, said Kurama nervously, and Naruto sensed the hesitation in his partner's voice. Are you hiding something from me, Kurama? Asked Naruto sharply, and his suspicions were proved correct when he saw a flicker of panic cross through Kurama's eyes, but it quickly disappeared as the Biju schooled his features. No, and I think you need to concentrate on your opponent. The Kazekage and Suna ninja would be alerted soon, warned Kurama, and sighed in relief when Naruto gave a nod. Unknown to the Biju, Naruto had completely understood his partner's intention of diverting the question. He had noticed Kurama's strange behavior during the past few days, and his years of training as an Anbu captain suggested only one thing. Kurama was lying to him. And he had to know why. "All right, Kurama, I see your point," said Naruto slyly, pretending to be unaware of his partner's deceitful actions. Activating his Mangekyo, Naruto put his finger on his communication device. He needed time to subdue his opponent, and it could only be achieved through this way. Clone teams, change of plans. Shift to condition Scarecrow, now. With clones. As soon as the command was received, the first shadow clone edged closer to the entrance gate of a nearby restaurant. He also sensed his clone brothers moving into similar important targets, while one clone stationed himself inside a weapons cache center of Suna. Clone 1, in position inside the weapons depot. Clone 2, in position near the communications station. Clone 3, in position near the hospital. Clone 4, in position near a large restaurant. All the clones passed on their status updates to their maker, as the communication devices on their ears blinked again. "Initiate Code R, minimize civilian casualties," said Naruto coldly. And the next second, 4 giant explosions rocked the entire village of Sunagakur. With Naruto, the Anbu captain observed closely as 4 giant explosions occurred simultaneously across the entire village. The very next second, loud sirens started ringing, and hundreds of chakra signatures started rushing towards the site of explosions, along with a cage-level ninja's chakra signature. "That will keep the Kazekage and his forces occupied. Now I only need to stop this guy before he transforms into his full Biju state. If he can even do that," thought Naruto analytically. His assumptions were proved correct when Gaara jumped towards him. The boy did not care about the explosions inside his own village. Rather, he seemed more interested in killing Naruto. "Very well," said Naruto calmly, and focused his eyes on Gaara. The Ikibi Jinchuriki was rather surprised when Naruto easily sidestepped the incoming punch aimed at him. Before Gaara could counterattack, a solid kick to his back sent him sailing away. Not wasting any time, Naruto took out 4 hidden seals from his pants and threw them in different directions. "What are those things?" questioned Kurama curiously. "Silencer seals. It will prevent any ninja from sensing our chakras, or even any type of sound. It will buy me some time to subdue him," explained Naruto quickly, while looking at a furious Gaara. "But you said that you didn't have many weapons," asked Kurama suspiciously, and got a bad feeling when a mischievous smirk came on Naruto's face. "There are certain places in my uniform where I can easily hide some surprises," suggested Naruto, and laughed when Kurama's face faltered on understanding the hidden meaning behind those words. "Too much information," retorted Kurama in an irritated tone, adding further amusement to his smirking partner. Naruto made the first move. Within a blink of an eye, the blonde disappeared and reappeared right in front of the Suna genin and delivered a supercharged punch to his face, sending the red-headed boy flying backwards. "Fast," was all Kurama could think. His surprise didn't end there as Naruto appeared on Gaara's right side, while he was still in midair, and sent his crashing opponent through a nearby wall with powerful kick. As Gaara was smashed through the wall, Naruto reappeared behind Gaara in midair, and once again hit him with another powerful kick that sent the boy flying in the opposite direction. How is this possible? Gaara is actually being overpowered, thought Shukaku in shock. This boy is overpowering Gaara's defense with pure speed. Damn you, Kurama. Let's take it up a notch. What's wrong, Gaara? Had enough already, because I'm only getting warmed up, Naruto taunted, as he landed on a rooftop directly in front of Gaara, who was slowly getting back up on his feet and glaring angrily at Naruto. "Get up," the blonde scolded. "You want my blood, then fucking fight for it. Whose side are you actually on?" yelled Kurama angrily, making Naruto smack his own forehead. "Damn him, my sand can barely protect me from his attacks," Gaara thought angrily as his sand slowly reformed itself. He was surprised when Naruto created a shadow clone which soon transformed itself into a long, sharp sword. Quickly landing back on the ground, Naruto tightly gripped his sword and pointed it straight at Gaara. not willing to let Naruto hammer away at his defense with his super speed. Gaara quickly opened his mouth and fired a massive blast of wind at Naruto. Sensing the danger, Naruto quickly drew his sword and channeled wind chakra through the weapon. Surasu Fa, wind slash. The attack cut right through Gaara's wind attack, causing it to dissipate and fly straight towards Gaara. But before the fast-moving attack could hit the Tsunaboi, Gaara jumped into the air, causing the wind blade to slice right through a nearby house, shattering its wall to pieces. After avoiding the attack, Gaara then extended his demonic sand arm forward at Naruto in an attempt to grab him. Seeing this, Naruto immediately resheathed his sword and sidestepped Gaara's arm and grabbed hold of it with both his arms and used all his strength to swing the Suna Jinchuriki around and into a nearby dustbin. After slamming Gaara into the dustbin, Naruto then formed a single-hand seal in quick succession. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Technique. Several Narutos were instantly formed which went straight towards the recovering Gaara, as a small dust cloud formed around the Suna Genin. As the clones leapt forward and flew towards the large dust cloud that formed around Gaara, after he was slammed into the dustbin, they suddenly heard Gaara yell from within the dust cloud. Fa Tun, Mugen Sajin Daitopa, wind style, infinite sand cloud great breakthrough. After which a massive blast of sand and wind erupted, blowing away the dust cloud and destroying the clones in one single strike. Once all the shadow clones were destroyed, Gaara jumped on top of a nearby wall and shifted his murderous gaze towards the original Naruto. The young genin swung his arms and fired dozens of sand-shaped shurikens straight towards his opponent. Suna Shuriken, Sand Shuriken. Acting fast, Naruto quickly redrew his sword again. Hin no Jutsu, Flying Swallow Technique. The weapon got covered with wind chakra as Naruto used it to destroy the sand shuriken as they were about to hit him. When all the sand shuriken were dealt with, Naruto then jumped towards Gaara, who unleashed yet another massive blast of wind from his mouth and fired it at his opponent. Reacting on his instincts, Naruto used his wind chakra-laced sword to cut through the wind attack again, and sliced through the large wall on which Gaara was standing, causing him to fall to the ground. Danger bells rang in Naruto's mind, as he saw a large sand tail forming behind Gaara. He quickly threw the 3 shuriken he had towards the boy, but the attacks were easily evaded by the smirking Jinchuriki. Seeing Gaara evade his attack, Naruto then quickly created another clone of himself and used it to throw himself at Gaara. The Suna Genin tried to attack Naruto, but thanks to his sharingan Naruto was able to evade the strikes and reached behind Gaara. The piercing sound Naruto's sword slash echoed through the street, which severed Gaara's tail from him, causing it to revert into sand and fall to the ground. After cutting Gaara's tail off, Naruto then quickly propelled himself off the side of a nearby wall and delivered a powerful spinning kick into Gaara's back, damaging his Jinchuriki form again and smashing him through 2 small houses. "Gah!" cried Gaara in pain as he was sent sailing across several walls of the houses. Naruto was quite intrigued when he didn't see any people in the houses. Focusing his chakra, he realized all of them were hiding in the basements. So, this is not the first time this Jinchuriki has gone on a rampage, thought Naruto seriously. Naruto saw a badly injured Gaara slowly getting back onto his feet. His Jinchuriki form was already in a sorry state and the boy was struggling to reform it due to all the damage he took. Had the sand not absorbed the majority of Naruto's attack, Gaara was certain his body would be in shambles. Just as his Jinchuriki form got reformed, he sensed Naruto's presence above him. Suten, Mizurapa water style, wild water wave. When Gaara looked up, he saw Naruto spewing out a large stream of water at him. At the same time a second Naruto appeared on Gaara's left and fired several large blasts of water at him from his mouth. When the attacks hit, Gaara was able to withstand them thanks to the sand that covered his body. But when the attacks ended, the Suna Genin could not help but wonder what his opponent was up to. Since water attacks at those levels would not hurt him in his current form, the most they could do was wet his sand. He of course soon got his answer when a third Naruto appeared in front of him and hit him right in the stomach with a chakra-enhanced punch. But the big difference in this punch was the effect it had, where it not only sent Gaara flying through 3 giant walls this time, but it also destroyed most of the sand around his body and crippled him. Fuck, cried Gaara in pain from the devastating punch. What's going on? What's happening? How did he break through my sand so easily? Why didn't it absorb the force of the punch? Thought Gaara in panic. Just what kind of ninja was this blonde boy? Your sand is fast and strong, especially when it is compressed. But that's only when it's dry. When it's wet, it's no better than mud, explained Naruto briefly, shocking Gaara completely. Impossible, he actually found a way to defeat Gaara's sand defense and make it worthless, thought a stunned Shakaku. Take that, you stupid raccoon, yelled Kurama proudly. Now I'm going to end this, Naruto said, and he started to form a long series of various hand seals, which Kurama recognized easily. The Biju sensed Naruto gathering a large amount of moisture from the air. The attack won't be at its full destructive capacity due to the limited amount of water in the desert-like atmosphere, but the Biju was confident Naruto could make do with the resources available to him. He was proven correct when Naruto finished the hand seals, and looked straight at Gaara. Suten, Surya Dan no Jutsu Water Style, Water Dragon Bullet Technique. A dangerous dragon made out of water formed around him and then headed straight for the injured Gaara. Not finished, Naruto quickly performed another set of hand seals and directed his fingers straight towards the charging water dragon. Razuriya Dan Lightning Water Dragon Bullet. Gaara's eyes widened in terror, when the dragon was completely electrified with lightning and was just about to crush him. The helpless boy tried to move from his position, but could only limp a few steps thanks to his injuries. Turning around, he could only watch in horror as the massive lightning-enhanced water dragon flew towards him at immense speed, and struck him with tremendous force. That sent him sailing through the walls of several houses and crashing into the ground with incredible force, causing a large explosion that covered much of the ground below in dust. Kurama was quite impressed with the battle. It was one of those times when he was reminded of the fact that despite being 15 years old, Naruto was one of the most powerful ninjas of the shinobi world. The Biju was intrigued when Naruto walked towards the injured Gaara, who was lying on the ground. Despite not being severely injured, the boy had indeed lost the fight due to sand getting all wet and electrified. It was quite ironic. Gaara's greatest strength had become his biggest weakness. What are you going to do? Questioned Kurama, as Naruto stepped beside Gaara. A little house cleaning, replied Naruto calmly, and glared his mangekyo straight at Gaara. The Suna Genin was quite mesmerized by those red eyes, but was surprised when he found himself standing in a dark landscape. He looked around and saw Naruto standing beside him, although the boy's eyes were not fixed on Gaara, but on a certain giant raccoon. Slowly stepping forward, Naruto's mysterious dark red eyes passively looked at the Biju standing in front of him. Hello, Shakaku. Chapter 54. Feelings of the Heart. Konoha Cemetery. It was a silent night in Konoha, as Sakura Haruno stood all alone in the cemetery. Her sad eyes fixed on one name. Chuji Akamaiki. She was not close to the boy, but nonetheless he was a friend. A classmate and a member of the infamous Nine. That thought alone made her chuckle sadly as she looked at the picture in her hand. It was a group photo of her class. Everyone looked so happy. Chuji was happily munching on his chips, while a bored Shikamaru stood beside him. Ino gave the best pose she could muster. On the left side, Shino was stoic as ever while Kiba had a cocky grin on his face. Hinata was her usual self, giving an extremely shy smile for the photo. And there they were, the magnificent 3 inches. She stood in between Naruto and Sasuke, with a happy smile on her face. Naruto was also giving a small eye smile, making him look like a mini Kakashi clone with the face mask covering his face. While Sasuke didn't smile, but she could understand he seemed content with the people around him. Those days. Still hanging in the past, Sakura asked a very familiar voice. She didn't even have to turn around as she knew who he was. Yeah, it may sound naive, but I really wish to go back to these days, confessed Sakura sadly, as Sasuke came beside her. To her surprise, he kneeled down and placed a hand over Chuji's grave. No words were said, yet she could feel the sadness in his heart. No, it's fine. It's a genuine wish, reassured Sasuke, completely surprising his teammate. She had expected a rude remark from him, and yet he did the opposite. And just like that, he tucked his hands inside the pockets of his pants and started walking away. Sakura wanted to say something, but no words came in her mouth. Her breath hitched in her throat, when he suddenly stopped. Maybe one day I can make a peaceful world for all of us. A world where you won't have to see your friends getting killed, families getting murdered, said Sasuke honestly. He couldn't say anything more, even if he wanted to. Sasuke could not understand why he was giving such a promise, why he felt his chest tighten on seeing her pain. Despite deciding to abandon all feelings for every person in Konoha, he could not stop himself from helping her. Granted, she was a teammate, and the closest thing to a friend after Naruto. In the past, he found her annoying due to her swooning over him, but in time, she grew up. Sakura changed and became a kunoichi whom he respected. He had killed people, was using Hinata for his own plans, and yet he did not feel a pang of guilt. But just seeing her standing at Chuji's grave made him feel this intense emotion. Why? He froze like a rock, when she embraced him from behind. Her hands tightly covering his chest, the warmth of her body hitting him. The feeling of her breasts tightly pressed against his back. Sakura, shush, just stay with me. Sasuke's fists clenched tightly, those simple words combined with this feeling in his heart was breaking through all his barriers. Every part of his body and heart was screaming at him, to let go of everything and just kiss the girl embracing him. Maybe, he really liked her. A bittersweet smile came on his lips, this feeling in his heart was more the reason he had to let her go. After all, darkness and light could not exist together. And if they tried, the light would be overwhelmed by the darkness. He could live with the regret of not reciprocating these feelings, but could not live in a world where Sakura and Naruto were constantly suffering. Maybe, the world will remember him as a monster after his plan was accomplished, but he would at least be successful in creating a peaceful world for her. Total destruction of the ninja world, this was the only dream he was living for. Yet he knew he was just one man, he was a strong warrior and an adept tactician. While Naruto had charisma and power, together they could. No, I won't put him through this, he has suffered more than enough. This burden is mine, thought Sasuke vehemently, and grabbed Sakura's hands that were around his chest and gently removed them. A confused frown came on Sakura's beautiful face, as she patiently waited for him to explain this action. Sakura, I have to go, said Sasuke evasively, but she sensed the hesitation in his voice. You sure? Asked Sakura calmly, and just received a nod from him. A small smile came on her face as he started walking away from her. It was short, but she felt something which none of them thought was possible. I'm really glad I met you. Those silent words shocked her to the core, freezing her completely in the cold night. The voice was so low, yet it broke through all her barriers and touched her heart. Did he really say that? He gave her a hesitant glance, and she saw a true smile on his face. But the moment was short-lived, as Sasuke disappeared with a shunshin. I'm sorry, but the path of happiness is just not meant for me. Sooner, Gaara could not understand what was happening. Standing in this dark place and looking at the person standing beside him made him feel something, a feeling which never existed in his heart till this day. This blonde boy not only defeated him, but was now fearlessly standing in front of the giant Shukaku. Naruto noticed how Gaara flinched when Shukaku glared at him. Disappointment and murder was clearly evident on the Biju's face. It was as if he held Gaara responsible for its own defeat, despite being the weakest Biju of the world. Such hypocrisy, thought Naruto angrily. Gaara flinched when Shukaku raised its giant tail. Knowing what was coming, he quickly shut his eyes. After all, resistance was futile against Shukaku. He waited for that incoming attack to strike him. It was just like Shukaku to vent out his anger on Gaara. Not allowing him to sleep, driving him mad with blood rage, driving people away from him. It was as if the Biju had pledged to torture his container until he died or committed suicide. Moments passed and yet nothing hit him. He slowly opened one of his eyes and was shocked when Shukaku had freezed and Naruto was standing in front of him. Silence, beast, shouted Naruto, his voice full of hatred and malice that even stopped Shukaku. Naruto, maybe you. Kurama, stay out of this. I sympathize with the Biju, but you have no right to torture your Jinchuriki. We were just as unlucky as you were, and that does not grant you the right to torture us. I am going to teach this animal a lesson, warned Naruto, and leaked some of his ki to make his point clear to Giant Fox. The Biju tried to say something, but a murderous glare from Naruto was all that was needed to silence him. Not that Shukaku deserved any mercy, but still it was a matter of concern that Naruto's anger was greatly increasing these days. And Kami forbid, if a hypocrite person or a Biju came before him, then they would wish they would have died sooner, rather than face Naruto. And it seemed Shukaku was not so lucky. Human, I will devour your soul. Here I come, declared Shukaku excitedly. And the very next second Shukaku found himself being glared by a dark pair of Mangekyo eyes. Gaara was stunned when his Biju's tail that was about to strike him collapsed on the ground. The pressure Shukaku was releasing vanished instantly. He even noticed shock on the Biju's face. What's the matter? Can't attack? You're up against a little human. Aikibi, taunted Naruto. Bastard, what did you do to me? Asked Shukaku roughly, trying his best to break out of this power but only felt himself being subdued more and more. Or have you finally learned that only those willing to be killed should think about killing others? Asked Naruto darkly, and raised one of his fingers at the giant Biju. Kurama and even Gaara watched intently as Shukaku's eyes changed and were not totally red in color instead of its original yellow color. Naruto Uchiha commands you, kneel. Yes, Your Majesty. Gaara was sure it was a dream, when the very next second Shukaku kneeled faithfully before Naruto. Gone was the giant beast, the only thing that remained now was a faithful dog waiting for a command from his master. Kurama saw Naruto panting harshly and blood leaking from his eyes. But even then, to think his eyes are strong enough to subdue Shukaku so easily, thought Kurama in shock. What are you? Asked Gaara nervously. If this boy could so easily destroy Shukaku, who had tormented him for years, then what would he do someone like himself? His breath freezed in his throat when Naruto turned around and removed his face mask. Blood leaked like a river from his eyes, while his shiny blonde hair were falling over his face, and yet those dark red eyes sent shivers down Gaara's spine. If there was a demon in this world, then he surely would look the same as this boy. His very presence leaked sinister and evil. The scared Sunagenin haphazardly took a few steps back when Naruto started walking towards him. Is this how I'll meet my end? Helpless and tortured to the very end, thought Gaara sadly, as his mother's face flashed in front of his eyes. You don't want it to end, do you? Asked Naruto knowingly with a small grin on his face, but instead of making him look welcoming it made him look more sinister. Stay away from me, warned Gaara, but his fearful voice made Naruto chuckle. It seems you still have some reason to live, said Naruto calmly, and stepped in front of Gaara. What did you do to Shukaku? Asked Gaara nervously, watching that giant raccoon kneeling like a dog still surprised him. That creature won't trouble you anymore, he'll be your pet from now on, offered Naruto proudly, as Gaara narrowed his gaze in suspicion. What do you want from me? Questioned Gaara, and was surprised when Naruto looked in his eyes with his Mangekyo. For a few moments, nothing was said as the dangerous boy just continued to stare in his eyes until a sad look appeared on his face. So, they did the same thing to you just as my people did to me. Such hypocrites, said Naruto bitterly, his Mangekyo spinning dangerously due to his rise in chakra. Jinchuriki, this is our destiny, said Gaara sadly. He knew fighting against this boy was useless. If he could defeat him in combat, subdue Shukaku like a street dog, then there was nothing left for him to fight against this boy. No, what? If you had the strength, then you could have prevented this. If you had power, then you could have opposed this atrocity. Questioned Naruto, as he slowly walked back towards Shukaku. Gaara watched curiously as Naruto stepped in front of Shukaku. Are you going to kill me? Asked Gaara calmly, but just heard a small "Hn" from the other boy. You have yearned for a family, haven't you? Searched for that one person who could understand you, who could accept you as a human instead of a monster or a weapon. Said Naruto seriously. How do you? His question was cut short as Naruto turned towards him. I am Naruto Uchiha, Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi. I am like you. Gaara introduced Naruto with a small sad smile on his face. The Kyuubi, I see, said Gaara calmly, as some of the tension vanished from his mind, bringing a smile on Naruto's face. I am not going to kill you, Gaara. Unlike the others, I can understand your pain. And yet I didn't have to go through this much pain. I found some precious people who loved me despite my identity as a Jinchuriki. They became my friend, my brother, said Naruto happily, and smiled sadly when the shock and disbelief was clearly evident on Gaara's face. No, it's not impossible. There is no such things as friends, there is no such thing as a brother, yelled Gaara in disbelief, his choked voice full of sadness and anger, while tears came to his eyes. The next second he saw various flashes of Naruto's own life, the scene with the mob, Kakashi's entry into his life, the glares and curses thrown at him every day, how he eventually found some friends at the academy. But still the pain and hate continued to be thrown at him, until he snapped. Before Gaara could see more, the flashback stopped and he found Naruto standing beside him, his hand resting peacefully on Gaara's shoulder. I can give you everything you desire. I will be your family, your brother, offered Naruto with a true smile on his face, and despite his blood-stained face Gaara could not help but be touched by the genuine feelings in the boy's heart. Or you could continue to serve people who hate your very existence and will always consider you a monster. Just like my parents, your father sealed this animal in you who enjoyed tormenting you for years. With me, you won't have to face such pain. A small tear slipped from Gaara's eyes when Naruto touched his cheek. The feeling of his touch and that understanding look in his eye tore apart all the barriers in his heart. Father, brother, friend, I will be everything for you. Kurama was just stunned with the scene happening in front of him. Was this really Naruto? Just as he thought he knew everything about the boy, something new comes up that makes him wonder who Naruto truly was. Walk this dark world by my side, different rules, different time, different life. I'll grant you powers that will make you strong to fight against any injustice. In return I want only one thing, said Naruto seriously, and smiled when he saw Gaara on the verge of accepting the offer. What do you want? Asked Gaara curiously. Swear your allegiance to me, you will fight only for me. Not for any village, not for any cage, not for anyone else. The power of kings will indeed make you lonely, but as long as we are together you won't have to fear anything or anyone. Because I won't let anything happen to my brother, explained Naruto briefly. Gaara's gaze shifted towards the kneeling Shukaku. The animal which had tormented him for years was now at this boy's mercy. The village which had shunned him all these years could be destroyed if only Naruto wished. His so-called family that was terrified of him can be taught a lesson, make him feel pain for all the injustice they had done to him. All these years, he had searched for this. And looking into Naruto's eyes made him confident that he could get everything he desired. Till this day I have been lying. My life was a lie, my family was a lie, my people were a lie, my village was a lie. All lies, thought Gaara disappointedly. Naruto saw the boy's fists clenching tightly. I wanted to stop this madness, but couldn't bring myself to break these lies. But now, thought Gaara seriously. Naruto smiled when Gaara gave him a light hug, as he gladly returned the gesture. Very well, I accept it, promised Gaara. At that day, 2 blood brothers were born. Chapter 55. Devil's Choice. Kakashi could not understand why he had been summoned to the Anbu headquarters. Granted he had once been a part of the secret organization, and was a good friend of the Anbu commander. Hell, he practically trained the man. Through his experience in the Anbu, he at least knew one thing. Anbu were the darkness of the ninja world, a necessary evil. It was an outfit that brought forward the darkness in people's heart, and transformed them into ruthless killing machines. In a way, he was grateful for Naruto's entry into his life. If not for the boy, he would have stayed in the Anbu and always lived in the darkness. Senpai, Kakashi turned around to see his longtime friend and student standing behind him. Dressed in his Anbu gear and a sword strapped on his back, his face covered by the mysterious Anbu mask. It was hard to believe that the little Tenzo he had met years ago had grown so much. From their days en route, to their partnership in Anbu, they had been through a lot. I told you to stop calling me that, Tenzo, said Kakashi lazily, making his friend chuckle. I'll stop the day you stop calling me Tenzo. Besides, now I am known as Yamato. You're not going to change, are you? Nope. Kakashi gently rubbed his forehead as his friend continued to smile. Guess, some things never changed. Why have you called me? Asked Kakashi curiously. We have an assignment for you. It has Delta level clearance, said Tenzo aka Yamato seriously, his voice now devoid of any mischief. And he was not surprised when he saw the shock visible in Kakashi's eyes. Any mission assignment with a Delta level clearance was the most important task an Anbu could ever dream to achieve. An SS rank mission. A mission that could very well change the future of their village and Fire Nation itself. I am not an Anbu, you should not discuss this with me, scolded Kakashi, but tensed when his friend didn't back down. It's not up to me. I am merely following orders, stated Yamato, as Kakashi came dangerously close to him. Did the Hokage put you up to this? Questioned Kakashi, and the look in his friend's eyes made Kakashi very nervous. Something big was going on. I'm afraid, bigger forces have got involved. Forces that are more powerful than the Hokage, suggested Yamato, making Kakashi take a step back. It was not possible. The daimyo. Yes, this assignment comes directly from the leader of this entire nation. As you know, the daimyo does not interfere with the internal matters of the village, but Naruto's defection incident has seriously raised deep concerns in the imperial court. Questions are being raised about the power of Konoha, and whether it is strong enough to defend Fire Country. We have got reports that the daimyo of Suna and Iwara may be planning an alliance, explained Yamato worriedly. The Anbu commander was surprised when Kakashi grabbed his collars roughly and looked him straight in the eye. The Anbu are loyal to the Hokage, you can't get involved in this mess, much less drag me into it. If Hiruzen finds out that you are secretly collaborating with the daimyo. What if I tell you, Hiruzen won't be Hokage for long? Time seemed to have stopped for Hatake Kakashi, everything was spinning out of control. Even his rational mind was unable to process the information that was thrown at him, this just couldn't be happening. You mean, said Kakashi nervously, and gulped when he received a nod from Yamato. I'm afraid the Imperial Court has lost all confidence in Hiruzen. They think he has grown too old and soft, their argument being if a child like Naruto can kill so many Anbu, steal the Forbidden Scroll. Then what's the worth of allowing Konoha to exist? You know very well, that Konoha's power pales in comparison to the might of the Fire Country. The daimyo's army granted being a little weaker than our ninja, but is 10 times more large than our entire forces combined. It is the largest and most powerful army of the world that has ensured Fire Country's dominance since centuries. If things are not handled soon, Konoha could very well be replaced by a new village, explained Yamato in detail. The daimyo is a spineless coward, he won't dare, said Kakashi aggressively, gaining a nod from his friend. You're right, the daimyo is a coward and weak old man, but that is not the case of Princess Karen. The 13th heir to the throne, and eldest daughter of Fire Daimyo. She is a cold-hearted bitch who is very likely to become the next Empress of Fire Nation. The fact that she was indirectly involved in the mysterious murders of 10 of her siblings is enough to prove her desire for the throne. She practically controls the Imperial Court and the army too. 2 days ago, she approached me with a proposal. Kakashi got a real bad feeling after hearing the explanation. He had heard about Karen, she was the only royal heir who had the ability to use chakra. At the mere age of 17, she assumed command of the imperial forces and participated in the Third Great Ninja War, while the rest of her siblings preferred to hide in their royal palaces. She was a hardliner, who would not stop until her ambitions were achieved. The fact that she was a student at Danzo Shimura was troubling news. After the Yondaime died, she and Danzo had lobbied hard for Orochimaru to be named the next Hokage, but was considered young and naive by her father and his supporters. Ultimately Hiruzen was made Hokage again, and it was fair to say that the princess took it as an insult to her and her teacher Danzo Shimura. One by one the advisors of Fire Daimyo who had supported Hiruzen's rise to power started disappearing, until none of them remained. Where they had disappeared was still a mystery, but Kakashi had a very good idea who it was that made these disappearances possible. Kakashi, she knows the truth. If Kakashi was shocked before, then now he was mortified. Just how much vulnerable had Konoha become during these past few years? Tenzo, you told her, said Kakashi furiously, but only received a harsh glare from his old friend. No, she already knew. Karen is about to be named the next leader of Fire Nation, and recent events has placed both Konoha and Hiruzen in her bad books. Once she assumes command, the first thing she would do is to sack Hiruzen and merge Konoha with Fire Nation. Our village could very well be wiped out. Now I knew why Danzo was so confident with his coup. Even if Root had been able to topple Hiruzen's rule and take over Konoha, Danzo would still need the approval of the Imperial Court. So this was the bastard's true plan, with Karen to back him up. The coup would have succeeded flawlessly, explained Yamato worriedly. But Naruto fucked it up, when he single-handedly wiped out Root. Oh, Kami, said Kakashi in shock, as the true picture became clear to him. Yes, not only did Karen lose her control over Konoha but she also lost her teacher, Danzo Shimura. Now she has control over the largest and strongest army of the world, but not on the strongest village due to Hiruzen. The situation is extremely fragile and Karen is not someone with whom Konoha should mess at this point of time. If we don't handle this, then a rebellion may start within the Fire Country, said Yamato sincerely. What do you want from me? Asked Kakashi skeptically. Karen wants to remove Hiruzen, but she can't assassinate him as it will directly point fingers at her. So, she has adopted another approach. Karen has proposed full immunity to Naruto, if he testifies that he eliminated Root on Hiruzen's orders and murdered Danzo. But that would change nothing. Danzo was revolting, it was a crime. Not in her eyes, she controls the Imperial Court and will project that instead of negotiations the Hokage took a rash step and eliminated 300 talented Root ninja, effectively reducing Konoha's military efficiency while jeopardizing the safety of Konoha and Fire Country. Not only that, she would surely blame Hiruzen for hiding the information of the coup and proclaim that he endangered the royal family, which will turn the Fire Nation against him. The fact that Hiruzen and Danzo never looked eye to eye will be used against him as a motive for giving Naruto orders to eliminate Danzo, explained Yamato briefly. It's a checkmate, said Kakashi sadly. The way I see it, Hiruzen's days as Hokage are outnumbered. Karen will come after us, our choices will determine the future of this village. My loyalty lies with the village and the people rather than the Hokage only. The Uchiha massacre, Root massacre, and defection of our only Jinchuriki. Combine all these reasons, the royal family and Karen have more than enough reasons to remove Hiruzen. As for you, she wants you to convince Naruto to surrender. You're the one who raised that boy, and he trusts you immensely, said Yamato seriously. Kakashi, you and I both know it, even if Naruto finished his mission and is brought back in the village, the people will never trust him. He would become a greater pariah, but if he surrenders to Karen, she has promised to pardon him of all crimes, and with her power, she could actually make the people believe that Naruto was just an innocent young ninja who was used by Hiruzen. That would earn him the sympathy of the people, even make him a hero. Karen wants to meet him at Kaminejima Pass 9 days from now. It will be a secret meeting, it's up to you now. The Anbu commander could only watch sympathetically as various emotions crossed in the copy ninja's eyes. They were talking about the change of an entire regime. Something which had never happened in the history of the ninja world. And Naruto was caught right in the middle of it. You once asked me, why did Naruto rebel against Root? Asked Yamato patiently, and gestured Kakashi to follow him. Because Danzo made him kill a very close friend and was increasingly becoming a threat to the village, replied Kakashi confidently, and was a little intrigued when his friend led him into a room full of monitors. He watched patiently as his friend inserted a tape into the recorder, and motioned his finger at the large screen in front of Kakashi. It was Operation Thunderstorm, 7 years ago, that destroyed Naruto's loyalty to Root and Danzo. And Kakashi was surprised when he found a young Naruto dressed in Anbu gear on the screen. Operation Thunderstorm 7 years ago. Heavy rains were falling from the dark sky, while the moon was shadowed by the sea of dark clouds in the sky. In all this darkness, several pair of eyes were currently watching a small palace that was in front of them. Izane Katero could not understand why her and their entire platoon had been assigned the task of eliminating Prince Genji, the seventh heir to the imperial throne. The fact that they were dressed in the uniform of Hanyu Black Ops of the Land of Woods, and had removed any mark that could trace them back to Konoha or Root was a big sign that this was an operation clearly not being conducted on the Hokage's orders. Izane Oni-chan, should we begin? Asked a young deer masked Root Anbu. The little 7-year-old boy flinched when the elder girl gave him a harsh glare and motioned him to shut up. Kento, you're not supposed to call me that. We're on a mission and I'm your squad leader, call me Bird, advised Izane. Gamen, said Deer apologetically, as Izane's glare softened. Her eyes shifted towards their platoon leader who was just looking at him stoically. She could not understand what was going on in that boy's head, 9 years old and he was already a lieutenant and soon to be named captain. It was fair to say that Naruto Uchiha was one of the finest ninja in the Root force. He had already performed several Black Ops missions behind enemy lines, and right now looking at these two rookies made him feel a little nostalgic about his days under Shin's command during Root training. It's time, squad leader, advised Naruto seriously. He received 2 quick nods from Izane and Kento as both of them took out their crossbows and focused the weapon towards the second floor of the palace. She also saw Naruto loading a sharp arrow on his weapon, when one of his communication devices on his right ear blinked. Ground Team 1 in position at the North Gate. Ground Team 2 in position near the South Gate. Orders, Lieutenant. There are several squads around your position. Your objective is to cause as much havoc. Our intel suggests that Prince Genji is one of the few royal heirs who would not leave his soldiers helpless in a fight. Your attack would draw him out, and that is when we will eliminate him. There are approximately 100 royal guards around this palace. You will be fine, Team 1, Team 2, explained Naruto briefly. The communication link was cut off as Naruto's gaze shifted towards the 2 shooters that were currently beside him on the cliff. Ready your weapons, rookies. We're hot, ordered Naruto. Yes, sir. Despite receiving the positive reply, Naruto saw a little doubt in Izane's eyes and motioned her to speak. Sir, we have 30 men in the field right now. If things get too hot, they won't be able to escape, suggested Bird Izane. Our intel is clear. There are only 100 royal guards, our forces are strong enough to hold their own against them. But if it gets too hot, I will order them to fall back. Don't worry, squad leader, focus on your objective, said Naruto confidently, and smiled when he received a faithful nod from the 8-year-old girl. Izane waited with a weighted breath as Naruto motioned 3 fingers, reduced them to 2 and finally. Boom! Several explosions rocked various sectors around the palace, as Root Anbu forces dressed as Hanyu Black Ops stormed through the gates of the palace. Sector 3, right-hand side, spoke Dear Kento while Izane shifted her weapon in the said direction. Fire! The body of a royal archer fell down from the 2nd floor of the palace with an arrow lodged in his skull. Sector 3-1, distance 920 meters, upper left corner, pointed Deer again, as Naruto's crossbow shifted in that direction. Fire! A sharp arrow was lodged into the brain of a royal guard that was standing outside the prince's quarters. Izane was surprised when the prince came storming out of his quarters, dressed in his samurai-like armor. The man was just about to join his forces when a sharp arrow pierced his right eye and passed clean through the man's skull. As the man's lifeless body fell down on the floor, she saw Naruto reloading his weapon. Such precision, and control over his emotions. Tonight, Izane learned what it meant to be a true Root Anbu. She was shocked when Naruto's eyes widened in terror before he flashed towards her and tackled her to the ground. Slash! Moments passed and the little girl heard several kunai and shuriken piercing someone, as a soft cry escaped from the person's throat. She saw several hawks flying in the sky, and saw what appeared to be ninja forces on them. Naruto didn't waste any time, as he picked up his crossbow and started firing it towards the airborne enemy forces. He looked towards Izane for support, but froze when he saw the young rookie Kunoichi kneeling before a badly mutilated body of Kento. The 7-year-old boy had around 50 kunai lodged in his body, and his lifeless eyes were staring at Izane. "This is Team 1, we are surrounded by ninja forces. They're everywhere. Team 2, mercenary forces have us surrounded. We can't hold on much longer, Lieutenant." Time seemed to have stopped for Naruto, as he witnessed 30 of his men surrounded by at least 200 ninja forces and another 80-something royal guards. And in that moment he realized the true meaning of their mission. "Lieutenant, you gotta get us out of here now. I won't let you down, hang in there," shouted Naruto, but his sharingan was clearly showing him his own soldiers getting butchered by the enemy forces. "Can't do, Lieutenant. I've lost 5 men already. Lieutenant Falcon, they are killing us here." Izane saw a furious Naruto making some adjustments on his communication device, before yelling furiously at the man on the other channel. "Command post, this is Lieutenant Falcon. My men are surrounded, we need support now," shouted Naruto urgently. "There is no available support. Your mission is finished, Falcon. Return to base," came the voice of their commanding officer. "But my men are expendable. This was how it was supposed to go, now return to base." "That's an order." A devastated Naruto could only helplessly watch as the Imperial forces mercilessly crushed his 30 men. He also saw what appeared to be a royal eagle landing on the palace, as a woman jumped on the surface. But he couldn't think about that right now, nor could he look into Izane's eyes. "No one's coming for us, are they, sir?" asked Izane sadly, as Kento's body got vaporized due to the root seal's activation. A small tear slipped from Naruto's eyes as he saw the bodies of his soldiers getting vaporized, but he didn't stop. The young Root Anbu quickly picked up Izane and started running away. But he had learned one thing tonight. The ninja world was indeed very cruel. Root Base. 2 days later. A young Naruto could currently be seen standing in front of several Root officers. Danzo was sitting in the middle and his cold eyes were analyzing the boy. Izane, who was standing behind Naruto, could only flinch when the Root commander glared at her. "Danzo-sama, and esteemed members of the Special Forces Committee. I, Naruto Uchiha, come before you to protest a grave injustice," said Naruto seriously, barely trying to hide the anger that was burning in his heart. "We have already read your report, I don't see why you are standing before us," replied Danzo nonchalantly. It was as if the man didn't even care. Izane saw Naruto's fists clenching tightly, and his chakra increasing. 31 soldiers died, Danzo-sama. The intel was deliberately manipulated. We were told there were only 100 personal royal guards of Price Genji. Instead there were mercenary ninja forces under the leadership of another royal princess, argued Naruto passionately, but one of the Root commanders raised his hand. "The target was eliminated, that's all that matters. Soldiers are expendables." Danzo narrowed his gaze when Naruto's sharingan activated as he glared furiously at the uncaring Root members. "You set us up," said Naruto furiously. "So what?" Izane couldn't believe what she was hearing. Did Danzo just said those words? With Prince Genji's death and the supposed intervention of Hanya, Black Ops in this incident, the Imperial Court has ordered the invasion of the Land of Woods. Soon that small nation will be under the rule of Fire Country. Princess Karen is already making preparations. You should be proud, scolded Danzo. "You bastard, you killed Kento," thought Izane furiously. She had pledged her life to defend Konoha. Only to have the very same village betray her and their comrades. Kento was only 7 years old and this man didn't even seem to care. For all these Root officers, soldiers like her were nothing more than cannon fodder. To be used and thrown. She saw Naruto trying his best to make him understand and accept their deliberate actions, but was easily getting cornered. "This has to stop." Root Base. 1 day later. The sound of alarms rang across the entire Root Base. Everywhere red lights could be seen burning. Sai could not understand the reason why Naruto was so tensed and heading towards the area where they had received reports about an enemy intrusion. The fact that the intrusion point appeared to be extremely close to Danzo's personal quarters was an alarming sign. Sai knew this root base was a secret and only Root Ninja knew about its existence. He couldn't finish his thoughts as they took another turn and his worst fears indeed came true. Because there in front of them was a small Anbu squad of 10 ninja surrounded by several Root Anbu from all sides. The fact that the intruders were indeed Root Ninja themselves and were young rookies. Danzo's loyal soldiers were just about to finish these young children, when a loud, strong voice ran across the room. "Drop your weapons. Drop them." The surrounded Root soldiers were surprised when the soldiers loyal to Danzo stayed their attack, but the one who was most surprised was none other than Izane. "This is Lieutenant Naruto, drop your weapons now," commanded Naruto, but the boy was shocked when Izane stepped forward. "Squad leader Izane Katiro, I'm the team leader of this squad," said Izane respectfully, and didn't flinch when Naruto glared at her. "Squad leader, you are surrounded. If you value your life and that of your soldiers, drop your weapons and surrender," advised Naruto patiently, while Sai glared at the Root soldiers at Danzo preventing them from attacking the young soldiers. Izane slowly removed her Anbu mask, and Naruto saw a small sad smile on her face as she looked at the mask. "Sir, I know you tried everything. But just like you, I swore to defend Konoha against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. And Danzo is an enemy of Konoha," said Izane angrily. "How dare you!" Naruto quickly grabbed the weapon of a fellow Root commander, preventing the man from starting a fight. "Lieutenant, we have fought and bled for the same nation. You know very well, I will not give that order," said Izane seriously. "Your squad is surrounded, Izane. These guys won't spare you if you don't surrender, don't be stupid. None of you have to die," pleaded Naruto, as the young girl glared at the Root forces that had surrounded her squad. "All of you, we were comrades once and we swore to defend Konoha. But that doesn't mean we must be sacrificed like dogs for one man's greed. Danzo is a traitor to Konoha and to all of us," shouted Izane angrily, and Sai saw the Root forces grabbing their weapons. A panicked Naruto looked the girl straight in the eye, his heart burning with anticipation and fear. "For the last time, Izane. It's over, surrender right now," commanded Naruto. "Stand fast," countered Izane, as both her and the Root forces at Danzo readied their weapons. "God damn it, squad leader. I am not going to repeat this order," yelled Naruto furiously, as the defiant girl looked at him with equal passion. "I will not give that order. What the hell is wrong with you?" Slash. Before Naruto could even finish his order, the sound of a kunai was heard in the room and the next second one of the soldiers under Izane's command fell dead on the floor. Sai quickly tackled Naruto to the floor, as all hell broke loose. But Naruto's eyes were only fixed on Danzo who had fired that weapon. The sound of explosions, kunai against kunai, cries of dying soldiers was heard across the entire room as Naruto glared at Danzo. He quickly shoved Sai off him, and grabbed the kunai of the closest Root Anbu. Ceasefire. The young Anbu officer could only helplessly watch as his comrades got hit by numerous weapons. Danzo's forces were killing them without any shred of mercy. Ahhhhh. He gasped in shock when her exploding tag bursted around Izane, shredding the entire left part of her chest. Showers of blood erupted around the girl, but she continued to grab the sword in her hand and jumped towards Danzo. With all her strength she sliced the necks of 2 Root Anbu protecting Danzo and jumped towards the Root commander. "Stop!" yelled Naruto urgently. Slash. A sharp sword was pierced clean through Izane's heart by Danzo, as the young girl coughed up blood before collapsing beneath the man's feet. Everything went silent. There was no sound, no cries, no weapons being fired. Just emptiness. Sai could only watch sadly as a mortified Naruto stared at the bodies of the young children of Izane's squad, their mutilated bodies vaporizing. His gaze then shifted towards Danzo who just turned around and started walking away. "Clean this mess up. That's it." Was this the only thing the man had to say? Watching the Root Anbu giving faithful nods shocked Naruto even more. An intense rage and hatred burned in his heart, as he grabbed his sword and was just about to charge towards Danzo. But before he could react, Sai placed a firm hand on his shoulder. "Not now, Naruto. One by one the root ninja started to clear the room, while Naruto walked towards the place where Aizane's corpse was vaporizing. He could hardly call her a friend, but she was indeed his comrade. A faithful subordinate who shared the same dream of protecting Konoha. Was it wrong for her to rebel against the system? His rational mind was telling him she should have surrendered, but his heart knew she was right all along. Until the very end. Sai stood patiently as a tearful Naruto put his hands on the mass of flesh and blood that had once been Izane Katiro. There was nothing you could have done, Naruto, said Sai sympathetically, and was relieved when he received a nod from Naruto. You're right, I could not save them. She rebelled against Root, but even then she was right. All of them were, said Naruto regretfully. What do you mean? Asked Sai curiously. She showed that even ninja are in the end people. Anbu are human, and human life must be preserved. Life is the greatest gift which a person receives from Kami, and nobody has the right to take that away from us. Not a country, not an organization, not anyone, said Naruto passionately, while slowly putting his Anbu mask on. What do you think of her actions? Asked Sai, and he heard a soft sad chuckle escaping from Naruto's lips. You either die as a hero, or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Naruto, humans chase after the existence of happiness, said Naruto mysteriously. Meaning, what Izane and these rookies wanted was just a tiny bit of happiness. It was just a simple wish, a wish that every human has. He turned around and was now looking at Sai with his Mangekyo sharingan, and it seemed Sai understood what he meant. Do any of us have a right to deny that wish? Questioned Naruto. Naruto, people are judged because they are linked to something in the world, whether they like it or not. Such is the fate of humans, explained Sai sagely. And sometimes when personal wishes stand against the will of the world, they are considered as pointless, said Sai honestly, but Naruto shook his head in disagreement. Sin and punishment, fate and judgment. I will change these factors that stand in the way of happiness. I will become the darkness that the ninja world loves so much. No matter what happens, I will clean this corrupt system. Humans love the dark side. I will make them feel pain so that they value life over death, happiness over misery, feelings over greed, and friends over power. If Root is the darkness of Konoha, then I shall become an even greater darkness. Sai, I am going to eliminate this darkness, because only those willing to be killed should think about killing others, promised Naruto. Flashback end. Kakashi just stood in his position. Never in his entire life had he thought about the darkness that Root had indulged itself into. Watching these memories made him look towards Naruto in a different light. To some extent, he found Naruto's actions to be just. We found these tapes during our raid on the destroyed Root base. After an investigation, we discovered that the mission was rigged from the start. Danzo and Princess Karen were in on this. She knew that Hiruzen won't support her in the assassination of Prince Genji, who was gaining political powers within the imperial court, thereby becoming a threat to her. Danzo offered her support. He was still bitter over the betrayal by the Land of Woods a few years ago. You remember that? They broke off that treaty which Hiruzen sent them? Asked Yamato seriously. Yes, it was Guy's team that Hanya Black Ops ambushed. I and Itachi disposed them off, said Kakashi quickly, as he remembered the mission. Those Root soldiers were sacrificed as pawns in a big political game. Since they had acted as Hanya Black Ops, and murdered a royal prince. It gave Karen enough reason to launch an invasion on the Land of Woods. Within days it fell and was made a part of our nation. Karen personally led the invasion. In this way she successfully removed her sibling who was becoming a threat to her rise to the throne, while Danzo got his wish to conquer the Land of Woods. Our further search revealed many such missions in which those two cooperated, said Yamato in detail. Then use it against her, Tenzo. Are you kidding me? You want me to go up against the next Empress of Fire Nation? This evidence is not enough, and even if we want to present it, she would destroy us. That woman killed her own siblings. What do you think she will do to us? And if we try to present this evidence, then the Root Rebellion will come out eventually, which would not only destroy Konoha's reputation further, but also endanger Naruto's cover when is this close to Orochimaru. It's too risky, scolded Yamato. Kakashi became silent for a few minutes. What his friend had said was indeed true. Naruto was caught right in the middle of this mess, and going up against someone like Karen would put him in even more danger. But if he went along with this plan, then Hiruzen. Then he remembered what Hiruzen had did to Naruto. Removing Rei's memories was an even greater crime, which Hiruzen did without any hesitation. Don't worry, Kakashi. The princess only wants to remove Hiruzen, and if it's any consolation, she wants to make you the next Hokage. What? Calm down. Think about it rationally. If we do this, Konoha would be safe from her wrath, and with you as our leader it would be easy to bring Naruto safely in the village. As for Hiruzen, she would pressure him to resign and the people would accept it since he has become too old, suggested Yamato. Kakashi narrowed his gaze when Yamato offered his hand to him. What shall it be, Kakashi? Chapter 56. Kurenai's Jealousy. Saisukuma Island. It was bright morning, as the shining rays of the sun slowly started to fall on the plains of the beautiful islands. The bright golden lights destroying the darkness of the night and enlightening the lives of the people by marking the beginning of a new day. In a small room of a luxury motel, a beautiful woman slowly opened the window. Cool gusts of winds quickly seeped through the open space, easily hitting her face and making her dark hair flow wildly in the air. Kurenai smiled a little when she saw the streets full with people, even when it was only 7 in the morning. Kakashi had been absolutely right when he said that Saisukuma Islands never slept, and life continued to bolster in the area whether it was day or night. After all, it was one of the most attractive tourist destinations in the entire Fire Country. She suppressed a small yawn as her fingers gently rubbed her eyes. Guess she was still getting used to the peaceful life. She had just arrived in this beautiful place last night, and already she was in love with it. However, she also knew the main reason behind her arrival in this place. Naruto. It was going to be a difficult task of finding her boyfriend, lover in a place crawling with at least 1,000,000 people. But she was a ninja, and on top of that she was his girlfriend. That did give her certain advantages in her search, as she was aware of some of the espionage techniques Naruto used in unknown territories during mission. Grabbing a handmade sketch from a nearby table, she turned around and went straight towards the bathroom. It would be a cold day in hell before she went on a tiresome search without a hot bath in the bathtub. It was good to be rich. Nono was surprised when a badly bleeding Naruto stumbled through her front door. His eyes were practically crying tears of blood while his body was having violent fits and continuously coughing up blood. She immediately rushed to his side, and quickly took him straight towards his room where they came face to face with a mortified Tsunade. The blonde Sannin was busy in her final stages of finishing the clone eye which they were making for Naruto. But she completely set everything aside, and rushed towards the boy as Nono made him lie down on his bed. I'm tired, hissed the boy, as Tsunade immediately started healing his eyes. Of course you are. Just what kind of mess did you put yourself in this time? Asked Nono tersely, making the boy chuckle. Victory, at any cost, replied Naruto proudly, and flinched when Tsunade glared at him. That kind of ideology will get you killed. Survival is also an important prospect of a mission. What good is the success if you're not alive to see it? Asked Tsunade harshly, as she finished healing his eyes. The damage was extensive and he would be needing that surgery within a month or 2 or suffer the fate of total blindness. While they could eradicate the virus killing him within 2 to 3 weeks a time, if the boy was able to survive till then. Root didn't teach that. These were the boy's last words before he slipped into a peaceful sleep. Tsunade's gaze lingered on her nephew. While it was true that they were getting closer, but it didn't diminish the fact that she knew slim to nothing about his past. Just what kind of person would allow this much damage to their body for the sake of a mission? More than that, the words that she heard from Naruto scared her. Victory at any cost. The boy simply didn't care if he was alive to witness the good things he had done for Konoha and his loved ones, as long as he was able to give them a secure future. She saw Nono gently caressing his cheek. Tsunade was jealous of the nun. The woman had something with Naruto, which she being his aunt was still not able to develop. You will get your chance to prove your love and loyalty to him, Swan-sama, said Nono knowingly, completely surprising the blonde Sannin. How do you? The younger nun silently walked past her, but just stopped at the exit of the room. He only trusts a person once, don't disappoint him when the time comes. Few hours later, the sound of birds chirping slowly awakened him from his deep slumber. Opening his eyes, he found himself safely tucked in his bed. His bed sheets were not stained with blood and smelt clean and fresh. Taking a few deep breaths, he slowly got up and drank water from a glass that was placed on a nearby table beside his bed. His bleeding had stopped, and there was no sign of damage on any part of his body. You should be more careful, advised Kurama, and was deeply concerned with the boy's condition. Naruto had simply not left any stone unturned to get Gaara on his side, going as far as to use his already fading Mangekyo eyes. And fighting with the Ikibi Jinchuriki, even if his body was deteriorating in health with every passing day. The Biju was certainly relieved when Gaara helped his partner in escaping, by creating quite a distraction. Apparently, the boy's control over sand had increased tremendously due to being able to control Shukaku's power, thanks to Naruto. The redhead had caused havoc in one of the districts, diverting almost every Suna ninja along with the Kazekage to his position while Naruto stealthily escaped from the shadows. It can't be helped, I had to get Gaara on my side. By winning his trust, I have effectively placed a spy deep within Suna's ranks, explained Naruto, while slowly walking towards his cupboard. Opening the piece of furniture, he selected a light gray-colored shirt and blue-colored shorts. He had barely finished adjusting his face mask, when a crow landed near his window. A tired sigh escaped from his lips, as he simply gave a weak nod to the bird, making it disappear in a puff of smoke. Leave it to Itachi to ruin my evening, muttered Naruto in dissatisfaction. What are you going to tell him? Questioned Kurama curiously, while Naruto tucked his sword in a small sheath and hung the weapon on his back. The situation in Suna, their military build-up, alertness level, the weapons caches and some other stuff, answered Naruto seriously. What about Gaara, and the deal you made with him? Asked Kurama hesitantly, and flinched when Naruto glared at him. That is none of his business, we're partners and not friends. It is unhealthy to reveal all your secrets to someone whom you've just known for the past few months, said Naruto harshly, completely silencing his partner. Quickly cutting off the connection, he simply performed a set of hand seals before disappearing in a quick shunshin. Kurenai tiredly sat on a small bench of a garden, silently drinking a popular soft drink. She simply watched the people enjoying around with their families, friends, lovers, etc. She was currently dressed in a dark black t-shirt, and blue shorts, both of which she just purchased a few hours ago. The island was a gold mine for shoppers, and for those who seeked entertainment. And yet she had not been able to find a lead on Naruto, despite searching for 5 continuous hours. The Raven idly wondered just how much efforts Naruto had undertaken in order to cover his tracks, but then again this was a mission far above the ones which they completed as Team 7. Even then, she was absolutely sure that he would be using the henge of which she had made a sketch. She blinked in surprise when one of her shadow clones dispelled, as images of a large 7-story multi-cuisine restaurant stared appearing inside her mind. Scanning the nearby areas, Kurenai was easily able to identify the giant structure of the restaurant located on the far east side from her position. Now that she thought about it, that place would easily make a great scouting position and could be a gold mine for collecting information. People in this island were generally too loud-mouthed, and gossip was like a daily virus that had affected every person that had ever lived or arrived here for entertainment. Casting a quick glance to her stash, she verified that she had enough currency, as nothing in the world ever came for free. Not even information. Well, she could use her good looks to charm a lot of men and get what she wanted, but that would attract too much attention towards her. As if she already didn't have enough perverts looking at her like a piece of meat to be enjoyed. Besides, the whole point was to be discreet in order to maintain Naruto's cover and not jeopardize his mission. Finishing her soft drink, she quickly took off towards the direction the restaurant was situated in. A newly found excitement arose in her heart, as her hope to meet Naruto was reinforced. Gone was the tired expression on her face, and in turn was replaced by a vibrant smile as she finished her journey. And was now standing in front of the large restaurant. It sure as hell didn't look cheap, and a small part of her felt a little uneasy as another possibility for Naruto's visit to this place came in her mind. No, he won't do that, thought Kurenai confidently, as she entered the restaurant. While her clothing was certainly odd in comparison to the people dining in the place, it didn't stop most of the men from ogling at her. Before they were harshly scolded by their female companions, who in turn glared daggers at her. Instead of feeling assaulted, she simply got a smirk on her face and swayed her hips a little just to make the already fuming females more jealous. Oh, she was definitely going to enjoy this vacation a lot. Walking straight towards the reception area, she was greeted by a young red-haired woman. She appeared to be in her mid-20s and was giving her a warm, welcoming smile. "How may I help you, miss?" questioned the woman politely, but freezed when Kurenai simply raised one finger towards her. When she was sure the woman was in her genjutsu, Kurenai decided to start her investigation while keeping an eye on her surroundings. She slowly slipped the sketch from her pouch and offered it to the hypnotized receptionist. "Have you seen this boy here?" asked Kurenai quickly, and was surprised when she received a positive nod. "Yes, his name's Yoshida. He frequently visits here with a girl," answered the receptionist passively. The woman had no idea what was happening to her or why she was divulging client information to a mere civilian. Kurenai's eyes narrowed on the last part, the anxiety and nervousness returning back with full force as a small part of her heart suddenly felt quite insecure. Surely, Naruto would not bring just any woman to such an expensive restaurant. Maybe it was for the sake of his mission, or… Her heart sank on the mere thought of that dreadful possibility. It was fair to say that their last meeting in Wave didn't let him part on a happier note, and she had fully slammed him quite hard for his mistakes. Had she been too harsh on him? Did he really move on? Was he in love with someone else? She needed answers now. "This girl, does she have a name?" asked Kurenai icily, as the receptionist became silent for a few seconds before her face lit up like a Christmas tree, further adding to Kurenai's frustration. "Yeah, her name was Haku." The woman certainly blanched when Kurenai gave a very sweet smile to her. "Get me the videotapes, please. And be discreet," commanded Kurenai, as the receptionist simply gave a faithful nod and went towards the back corridor of the restaurant. Meanwhile, the genjutsu mistress was feeling a series of emotions passing through her heart ranging from anger, jealousy, suspicion, fear, and many more negative emotions. What troubled her was that she had never felt like this before in her entire life. She knew Naruto was handsome and kind, and if only the females of Konoha had not considered him a pariah they would have known how wonderful he was. Did someone else realize the diamond which Naruto was? Now that he was out of the village and had adopted an entire new identity, it only raised her fears, that he had moved on or at least trying to move on from his dark past in Konoha. But he was supposed to be hers. Whatever problems they were facing, they could have sorted it out. Then why did he start seeing another woman? Was she more beautiful than her? Did those two really get along well? Her rational mind was advising her to calm down, as all of this could just be another one of Naruto's acts for the sake of his mission, but her heart was quite another story. She felt betrayed. She and Naruto had been through so much together, shared each other's pain, been each other's support for years. They were friends, partners, lovers, and so much more. He certainly wouldn't throw it all away for another woman. So many questions with no answers in sight. However, her misery was temporarily stopped when the receptionist returned with a single videotape and secretly passed it back to her. Kurenai gave the woman a gracious tip and booked a table for two for the next day in order to make her visit seem genuine, which the receptionist was more than happy to register. As she walked out of the restaurant, a strange sense of anger started rising in her. If anything went wrong, then the world would have one less Uchiha to deal with. Chapter 57. Finally, Haku and Naruto peacefully strolled through the markets of Saisukuma Island. The young kunoichi couldn't help but smirk on seeing the annoyed look plastered on Naruto's face. Shopping was one of his least favorite activities, and for the past few weeks Nono had been repeatedly sending him for such a simple errand along with Haku. At one point of time, he had even presumed she was trying to set him up with Haku. And she had good reasons behind it. Both of them were almost the same age, were orphans, missing ninjas as well as criminals. Despite these familiar traits, they were people who had known the pain of being alone and discarded from society. Social pariahs. Naruto had also noticed Haku was always writing something in a personal diary since the past few weeks. "Are you trying to write something?" asked Naruto suspiciously, speaking for the first time. "Yeah, I have some free time these days, so I'm kind of writing a silly novel." "It's nothing more than a hobby," confessed Haku with a shy smile, making him raise one of his eyebrows. "What's it about?" Now that was surprising. It was quite unusual for the uncaring Naruto to be so interested in her personal life. But since both of them had nothing better to do right now, and there was no hidden danger in this activity, she decided to talk to him. He was a decent guy to have a conversation with. It's about people who are not able to adjust in society due to different reasons. "The main character is quite complicated, he's kind of like you," said Haku jokingly. "You sure you're not making a story on my life?" asked Naruto bemusedly, but deep down the idea seemed quite interesting to him. It was quite intriguing how people viewed him as a person. "Nah, not exactly," said Haku nonchalantly, and was surprised when he sighed in relief. "That's good, because it probably won't have a fairy tale-like ending," said Naruto mysteriously, a faint smile adoring his handsome face. "What makes you say that?" asked Haku curiously, but he simply shrugged his shoulders. "Call it a hunch," replied Naruto nonchalantly. Haku could not help but stare at him as he walked forward. Among all the people she had known in her life, Naruto was perhaps the most complicated and mysterious person. There was simply no definite category in which she could put him. On one side, he was Zabuza's murderer, but was also the one who helped the young children of the orphanage, and gave her a new chance at redemption. He was respectful to her and never raised a single lecherous glance at her. She could easily see the burden which he carried on his shoulders. Even then, he was searching for his promised land, to get away from the shit he was caught up in. Many people called him a traitor, monster, butcher, but all she could see was a young boy who was simply drifting in the different directions where his destiny was sending him. He was quite accurate when he guessed she was writing a book on him. Guess a small part of her heart had fallen for his charm. How could she not like him, when he had been so kind, friendly towards her? In an indefinite way, he was her first friend and perhaps crush. But deep down she knew that was where the curtain would fall. Just looking in his eyes was enough to show he was in love with someone else, and was quite loyal towards her. Despite the months of his stay around this island, Naruto had never once visited the special comfort houses which were quite famous for various kinds of pleasure. He would instead spend time with Ria and the other young orphans, their innocent smiles bringing a little light back in his dark life. "Hey, Haku, I'm kind of tired, I can't take this shopping anymore. Can I go now?" asked Naruto tiredly, and showed the bundle of bags he was holding. You're admitting defeat?" questioned Haku bemusedly, as he sighed. "Sure, you win the bet. I simply can't deal with this. I'll take these groceries back to Nono, see you later," said Naruto quickly, and before she could say something he ran off with impressive speed. Her eyebrows twitched on seeing him fleeing like this. Guess even a mysterious person like Naruto had some common traits that all men possessed. "Slacker," cursed Haku, and started walking towards another store. She had barely walked for more than 2 minutes, when her ninja senses kicked in as she felt a presence around her. Her years of training as a tracker ninja easily showing that the person was a ninja with quite high chakra levels. Either she was careless, or was deliberately revealing her position. Whatever the reason may be, she decided to deal with the situation immediately and in a secluded corner so that no innocents get caught in the crossfire, if it escalated to a fight. Ninja battles were quite famous for mass destruction, and any damage here would only attract the attention of the authorities who were hell-bent on projecting these islands as a safe, happy, entertainment center. She had just been relieved from living a life on the run, and was quite determined to prevent attracting any more ninjas towards her or the orphanage, and most of all towards Naruto. Turning around a few corners, she stepped into an isolated alley where her pursuer was waiting for her. The person's face was not visible due to the lack of light in the dark corners, but judging from the body structure and beautiful smell, this was definitely a woman. Haku was surprised when a pair of dark ruby-colored eyes opened. And in that moment she knew who this person was. After all, she had often caught Naruto staring at a certain woman's picture at night. "So, you're Haku," said the woman calmly, although her icy tone was certainly not quite welcoming. "And you are?" asked Haku patiently. Even if this woman was indeed the person in Naruto's picture, it didn't mean that Haku knew her name or history. Naruto had been extremely secretive about his past life in Konoha or the people he had known. "We need to talk," said the mysterious woman tersely, surprisingly gaining a nod from Haku. "So it seems. Let's go for a cup of tea," offered Haku politely. "And what makes you think I want that? Why can't we just talk over here? I have an idea as to who you are, and since you seem to know who I am, I think you have misunderstood the entire situation. So, I suggest we have a civil conversation instead of fighting for no reason, as it would surely attract the attention of the local police. And neither of us want that now, do we?" asked Haku cunningly, and smirked when the woman scowled a bit. "Fine." Nearby tea shop. 30 minutes later. When Haku had presumed Naruto was in love with someone, she hadn't imagined her to be this beautiful. The woman sitting before her was the epitome of feminine beauty combined with the deadly skills of a talented ninja. The fact that she was able to hide her presence from Haku and the unaware Naruto was quite a feat. Even if both of them were not needing chakra, they should have at least felt something. But the truth was they didn't realize she was keeping an eye on them at all. "Wow," said a surprised Haku, making Kurenai raise one of her eyebrows. "Excuse me, you are quite beautiful, Stalker-san," teased Haku mischievously, and chuckled when Kurenai's eyebrows twitched violently. "I am not a stalker, and what do you mean by beautiful?" asked Kurenai suspiciously, as Haku quickly raised her hands in surrender. "All right, I was joking about the stalker part, but you are quite beautiful. I see why Naruto is so loyal towards you," said Haku happily. "What do you mean?" asked Kurenai curiously. "Before that, can I ask your name? It's strange having a conversation with someone whose name you don't know," confessed Haku, while Kurenai eyed her suspiciously. "Akira," lied Kurenai effortlessly. This girl may have been friendly towards her, but it didn't mean she needed to know everything. "I see," said Haku acceptantly, truly aware that the name was a lie, but it was a start regardless. "Where is Naruto?" asked Kurenai bluntly. It was no point in beating around the bush when she had clearly seen her partner shopping with the girl half an hour ago. The fact that he suddenly ran away seemed very suspicious. Had he sensed her presence? It was unlikely, since she was not needing chakra and suppressing her presence. But then again, Naruto was a veteran Anbu captain who had been in the field for years, so nothing could be assumed for sure. "At our hideout, why do you want to meet him?" asked Haku seriously, receiving a sharp glare from the genjutsu mistress. "That's none of your business," replied Kurenai icily, making the young girl before her sigh tiredly. "Then I'm afraid we are at an impasse. It was nice meeting you, Akira-san," said Haku curtly, and was about to get up from her seat when a firm hand was placed on her right arm. Dark black eyes met sharp ruby eyes as a battle of wills was fought between the two female warriors, until the older one spoke in a relatively cool voice. "We're not done yet," instructed Kurenai icily, her weeks of experience as a captain quickly kicking in. "So, it seems, you're lying to me, and I am not being too cooperative either. So I suggest we present the truths. Naruto is a friend of mine, and I would be damned if I let an assassin get near him when is the #1 target of Konoha's hit list. Even if he knows you, I am not revealing where he is unless you tell me your intentions," explained Haku honestly, and didn't flinch when Kurenai glared at her. "You're not gonna budge, are you?" asked Kurenai tiredly, the fatigue of the past few days of searching finally getting to her. "No, I just want to talk to him. I have something for him," said Kurenai honestly, as Haku looked at her for a few moments. Are you his wife or fiancé? Asked Haku in a friendly voice, and couldn't stop her chuckle when Kurenai's cheeks went bright red. It's not like that, we're complicated, finished Kurenai awkwardly, not finding the right word to describe her connection to Naruto. I believe you. Just like that? Asked a surprised Kurenai, but the girl simply shrugged. Please, I've seen him countless times staring at a picture of you. He kind of reminds me of a tragedy hero, joked Haku, and was pleased when even Kurenai got a faint smile on her face. I guess you can call him that, whispered Kurenai. The tea was served before them, as the former rivals gave each other a firm nod before sipping the hot drink. The tension between them gone, as they were able to gain a common ground, which was Naruto himself. The silencing seals placed around their corners doing an effective job of keeping their conversation a secret. And just to be safe, Kurenai had also casted a genjutsu in the area around them, making them look like common civilians. How is he? Asked Kurenai hesitantly, and this time Haku gained a thoughtful look in her eyes. The young girl didn't know that with every changing expression on her face was leading to increase in Kurenai's anxiety. Her last meeting with him in Wave was close to a disaster. They had fought, she had accused him, hurt him both physically and emotionally. And he had accepted it with a smile on his face, and even apologized for his actions. But in the past few weeks, she had quite a lot of time to think and judge his actions. Why he lied to her. And now that she thought about it, he had no choice. It was a mission directly from the Hokage, and now that she knew what it was, Kurenai couldn't help but understand that he had protected her with his actions. And only made a mistake by ordering her to kill him, but he had rectified that and apologized, so there was no need to drag it forever. He's changing. Haku's answer certainly caught her by surprise as she looked at the girl quite anxiously, hoping to dear God that something bad had not happened. Naruto is a good person, but there is another side of him that I have seen quite a lot during the past few weeks. We're currently hiding at an orphanage which Naruto helped set up with a very kind nun. He has been regularly sending money for the young orphans since the past few years, said Haku proudly, completely surprising Kurenai. Just how much did she didn't know about him? Akira-san, does Naruto dislike his parents? Asked Haku sadly, and the woman's depressed look gave her the answer. I tried to deny it, but now I see it. He dislikes them from the bottom of his heart for leaving him alone, for condemning him to a life of hell. They chose the village over him. While they are remembered as heroes, he was always viewed as a demon, a pariah. His parents are the reason for his suffering, concluded Kurenai sadly. Has he spoken about them to you? Asked Kurenai worriedly. No, he does not. But I heard one of the orphanage girls ask him about them. I was there with him and the hatred that burned in his eyes scared me. There was a lot of anger, lot of pain in those eyes, said Haku seriously. I understand. Silence prevailed between the duo as both of them wondered what to say, when Kurenai decided to ask something that had been troubling her ever since she came to know about Haku's connection to Naruto. How do you know him? Asked Kurenai seriously. Haku didn't say anything except stare at her for a few definite seconds, her eyes searching for any kind of deception. She had also observed how lightly armed Kurenai was. If she was indeed an assassin, then she would be a fool if she thought she could take on Naruto with that much firepower only. Not to mention they had a Sannin at the orphanage, and Nono may not look tough, but she was no slouch either. Plus, there was the fact of Naruto looking at her picture with a somewhat lost look in his eyes. He certainly seemed quite attached to her. Deciding to take a gamble, she spoke in a relatively calm voice. We were enemies once. He defeated me and killed my mentor, who was my only family, said Haku evasively, not revealing the exact details about her connection to Zabuza or her own identity. Kurenai seemed surprised that Naruto could be the killer of this girl's precious person, and even then. I was captured by him. With everything gone, I expected him to kill me or do many bad things since I was his prisoner. But he gave me a second chance by allowing to serve at the orphanage. A chance to choose my own path, and so far it has turned out quite well. I may not know everything about him, but I consider him a friend. He's family, and I won't let anyone hurt him. So think twice before trying anything funny, warned Haku, her menacing glare promising a world of pain to Kurenai. Instead, she saw the woman, smiling. "Thank you, for looking after him," said Kurenai gratefully, giving a short bow to the surprised girl before him. "Hey, I was just being nice to him. He's done so much for me," replied Haku shyly. "He does not have many friends, well not right now. It's nice to know that he has people who look after him, despite what the world sees him as," suggested Kurenai hesitantly, as Haku shook her head vehemently. "It doesn't matter what others think. We're ninjas, as such none of us are saints. Everyone has blood on their hands, even the most kind father could be a deadly assassin ninja. I don't care what is done, he was good to me and the other unfortunate children and in the end that's all that matters," said Haku stubbornly. "True enough. Akira-san, before we go to meet him, I want you to refrain yourself from saying anything that might hurt him. He has been slowly getting his old smiles and happy behavior back by being around the kids. Plus, there's the fact about his collapsing health." "What, is he all right?" asked Kurenai worriedly. The mere word, collapsing, had sent her heart in a crazy frenzy. "I don't know, he goes out for some mission and always comes back half dead at midnights. The nun who looks after him does not say anything, and I'm not much of a medic but even I can see his health is deteriorating rapidly. So please be careful with your words and actions," suggested Haku. Kurenai cursed her fate once again when this new information was presented before her. How was she supposed to tell Naruto about the truth that he had a clone daughter, who was now dead and secretly buried? Not only that Hiruzen had gone ahead to clear that information from Naruto's mind. What if that would affect Naruto's health badly? She definitely needed to see him now, to make sure he was safe. Her entire reason for coming here, for undertaking such a huge risk was to reveal this treachery to Naruto, to be the one person who remained truthful to him when everyone else was lying. But now she was not so sure about her decision. "Take me to him, please," said Kurenai urgently, gaining a nod from Haku. Things had just gotten from complicated to fucked up. With Naruto, the young captain peacefully sat on a large stone, his serene blue eyes happily observing the two young children playing in front of him. Childhood was perhaps the best part of a person's life, and watching the smiles on these two children's faces made him proud. Because it proved that even if he had sinned, he had done some good too. This orphanage and the children living here were his salvation. By helping them have a chance at a peaceful, normal life, he was compensating for his actions of hurting other people for the greater good of Konoha. He idly wondered about his life after this operation. Hiruzen had promised to bring him back to the village as a hero. But was it really possible? He had been living in the outside world for months now, and it had shown him certain aspects which had went unnoticed by his naive heart earlier when he accepted this mission. Even if he was a skilled Anbu captain, in the end he was still a 15-year-old teenager who lacked some insight behind the harsh truths of life. But now he was able to see them clearly. Revealing the contents of Operation Ghost would destroy the trust which the people had in the Hokages. Not only that, if the rumors about Princess Karen soon ascending to the royal throne were true, then a revolution would start very soon. Knowing that bitch and her connections to Danzo, she would not hesitate in removing Hiruzen from his post. Things were about to get a lot more complicated in Fire Country and in Konoha. After watching the same treatment being given to Gaara made him extremely angry at the ninja world. Yes, he had sworn to protect Konoha. But was it even worth it? Shin, Sai, Izane, and so many young Root Anbu had been sacrificed for that double-faced village. He had promised to protect the village for their sake and their dreams, but the harsh truth was that not even a single one of those heroes were being remembered for their greatest sacrifices. Their names vanishing with the passing time. Anbu were supposed to protect from the shadows, but even they had families and loved ones. In the past he had thought himself to be a mere pawn to be used and thrown by Konoha, because he wanted to repent for killing Shin, getting Sai killed and butchering the entire Root force. While also for hurting Kurenai and his friends through his actions. But now that he had forgiven himself and was moving on, he was able to see things in a broad perspective. Anbus were not pawns but people. They could not be used so callously and not even be remembered for the sacrifice which they made for their village. They deserved that honor after sacrificing everything. And what about him? Where did he stand? Apart from his promise to Shin and Sai, why was he even risking everything to protect a village who hated him from the bottom of its heart? He could still remember that mob beating which he had received a decade ago. It still made him very angry. Maybe it was due to Kurenai, Kakashi, and his friends and family. For their sakes, he was still willing to protect a village that was corrupted from the top to bottom. Even then he couldn't help himself from seeing the bigger picture. Apart from a handful people back in Konoha, the entire population hated him and would continue to scorn him even if Operation Ghost was revealed. If not for anything, they would blame him for forcing Hiruzen to order such a mission or even continue to call him a traitor for being a part of Root. The people of Konoha were very selfish, two-faced backstabbers. Humans whose morals were so fucked up that no amount of preaching would set them on the right path. The Uchiha clan had also faced such a treatment for years, and when they had enough and were about to rebel, Konoha used one of their own clansmen to slaughter the entire clan for the greater good. But what was the greater good? Every good person whom he had known was dead or dying, while the selfish civilian bastards and prejudicial ninjas were living happily. They were content in living in a world of lies, happy in torturing people like him, placing all the blame on a few unfortunate souls just so they could live happily. And to think his own parents had not only died for such ungrateful bastards, but also sacrificed him happily. It was quite ironic that in the past he had thought himself to be a pawn, since his own parents had seen him as such. He definitely had some self-esteem issues. But not anymore. It was not him who he was wrong. But it was the world which was fucked up. Oni-chan. The combined voice of the two children before him snapped him out of those depressing thoughts. A fond smile came on his lips as he saw Ria and a 4-year-old Ken standing before him. The two innocent children had such beautiful smiles on their faces. Ria was holding a sunflower in her hands, while the little Ken was holding a fine paper plane in his little hands. And they were giving it to him. Kneeling before the two young children, he flashed them a bright smile while placing each of his hands on their heads and gently ruffling their hair, earning small giggles from them. "Are these for me?" asked Naruto happily, gaining 2 eager nods. "I brought these flowers for you. Nii-chan," said Ria happily. I made this plain," said Ken hesitantly. The little boy seemed quite unsure about his own handiwork as he worriedly compared his gift to Ria's. Naruto easily saw through both children, and couldn't help but feel at home. This was a world which he wanted to live in, a world free of lies, a world of love and compassion. A world where people didn't betray each other for any possible reason. A gentle world. He wanted to build such a world for Kurenai, for her to live freely. Something which was impossible in the ninja world and its corrupt system of hatred and greed. He gently caressed Ria's soft cheeks, earning a soft giggle from her. "This flower is quite beautiful like you." "Thank you, Ria-chan," replied Naruto gratefully, and he could practically sense the other little boy looking at him. "What about me? What about me?" asked Ken repeatedly, anxiety easily visible in the boy's face. "This plane is also quite cool. You'll be a great artist someday." Ken-kun praised Naruto, earning a bright smile from the young dark black-haired boy. He was extremely pleased on seeing the victorious smirks on their faces as they gave each other a high five. Looking at the accumulated dirt on their clothes and bodies, an idea came in his mind. "You two need a bath," suggested Naruto, and got up from his previous kneeling position. "Nii-chan, give me a hug before we go for a bath, please," requested Ria politely, and raised her arms expectantly. "Me too, Nii-chan," said Ken quickly, and repeated the same action. They were delighted when Naruto merely chuckled a bit while picking them up with the help of his strong arms. Both young children quickly encircled their hands around his neck for support while nuzzling closer to his warm chest. His strong arms providing a protective feeling. Naruto was quite pleased with the way Ria had grown up. He could still remember the lone blonde girl whom he had found in Wave. She was so lonely and surrounded by the hyenas that were Gato and his thugs, but now she had a home and friends whom she could depend on. He had never seen a child so happy. Helping set up this orphanage was perhaps the best decision he had made in his life. "You two sure are getting bigger," complimented Naruto. Just wait, Ni-chan. I'll get stronger than you one day, promised Ria confidently, as Ken glared at her. Ria, chided the young boy, who seemed to admire Naruto and considered him his idol. He kinda reminded Naruto of a young Konohamaru. Alright, no fighting. Ria, you're the elder sister so you have to teach Ken all sorts of things, advised Naruto sagely. I will, Ni-chan, said Ria excitedly, as Naruto's gaze shifted towards the young boy in his arms. And Ken, you're the boy so you have to protect your sister, suggested Naruto with a kind smile on his face. Promise me, requested Naruto, earning 2 confident nods. Which in turn resulted into the young children receiving a warm hug and soft kiss from their foster elder brother and caretaker. Kurenai was simply left speechless by the scene that was playing in front of her eyes. It was so beautiful and heartwarming that even made a tear slip from her eye. Was this really her Naruto? She looked on her right side, only to find Haku giving her a knowing smile. There is nothing going on between me and him, we're merely friends, clarified Haku honestly, as a faint blush crept up on the genjutsu mistress's face on being proven wrong. She suddenly felt quite embarrassed for even suggesting such a thing. He's a good man, Akira-san. He's an honorable man, and he loves you, said Haku calmly, while giving a reassuring squeeze on Kurenai's shoulder. I know, said Kurenai in a relieved voice. And I love him too, thought the genjutsu mistress secretly. But that does not mean that you can take him for granted, or else I'll be waiting, teased Haku, earning a sharp glare from Kurenai which only softened when she noticed the playful smile etched across the young girl's face. Of all the people in the world, my life seems to be the most complicated, joked Kurenai, making Haku laugh. I'm happy for you, said Haku truthfully, even if a small part of her heart was sad. But knowing that Naruto loved this woman, and seeing the concern she had for him, the right thing for her to do was step away. He deserved to be happy. She was surprised on receiving a light hug from someone and it turned out to be none other than Kurenai herself. Thank you, Haku. The gesture was returned by the young girl, and she smirked when she saw Naruto turning around and his eyes landing on Kurenai's back. The look on the poor boy's face was simply priceless, his eyes were practically bulging out of their sockets, shock clearly evident on his face. Haku even saw him muttering, "What the fuck?" which only earned 2 curious questions from the young children in his arms. She gently broke the hug and offered one last smile to Kurenai, before walking towards Naruto, a playful smirk coming on her beautiful face. Reaching towards his ears, she whispered 3 simple words that made the boy blush crimson red. She's all yours. Dark ruby eyes met with shocked light blue ones, and the latter's breath got hitched when the former spoke something. It's good to see you, Naruto. Kurenai. Chapter 58. The beginning of the end. Kurenai apprehensively looked in his shocked blue eyes, as he simply stared at her. A series of emotions ranging from confusion to shock were passing through his heart, until a few seconds later his years of training as an Anbu kicked in and he easily schooled his features, and now retained a stoic expression on his face. Gently placing the 2 children in his arms on the ground, he gave them a small apologetic smile. I'm sorry, you two. I have some work to do, apologized the blonde, but only gained 2 mischievous smirks in return. We'll only go if you promise to bring us chocolate later, said Ria smartly, and smirked when even Ken wholeheartedly agreed. He merely sighed while gently ruffling their hair, and gave a satisfied nod. Fine, but do take a bath. You stink, teased Naruto, and smiled when they pouted on the light remark. Meanie, said Ria cutely. Not fair, muttered Ken, but quickly ran away with his foster sister when Naruto gave him a pointed look. As soon as the young children were out of sight, his cold, stoic gaze now shifted towards the beautiful woman standing before him. Lazily tucking his hands inside the pockets of his pants, he casually walked towards her. Kurenai anticipatedly waited as he came near her, and gave her a firm glance. Follow me. That was all he said before walking ahead of her. She tried to ask something but he never stopped, which in turn forced her to fall in line and follow his lead. Out of all possible outcomes, this was perhaps the least expected way in which she expected he would greet her. It was as if he wasn't happy at all on seeing her, his cold, calculative footsteps and cold demeanor further fueling her doubts. But she refrained from making any more assumptions, as her previous ones regarding him and Haku being together were wrong. After silently following his lead for a few minutes, she found herself standing in front of a small lake. He had his back turned towards her as he calmly looked at the serene water in front of them, while his attention was still fixed on her. "Why are you here?" asked Naruto seriously, his stern tone devoid of any feelings. Before she could even say something in her defense, his sharp glare silenced her immediately. It still surprised her that despite being younger among them, his eyes were far more fierce and threatening when he wanted to intimidate someone. Unfortunately, that poor soul happened to be her right now. "Are you trying to break my cover? You of all people should know how dangerous this mission is," scolded Naruto harshly. "That was never my intention," confessed Kurenai rapidly, desperately hoping he would not resent her. Yes, her actions were quite dangerous and could put him in trouble. But she just couldn't stay away from him, not after learning the truth which Kakashi had told her. Even now looking at him, she could feel a strange feeling. He seemed different, his voice lacked the guilt which he seemed to have during their encounter in Wave. This Naruto was more confident, respected himself a lot more and was quite dedicated towards his mission. Just like a true ninja. He sighed tiredly while gently massaging his temple with the help of his right hand. After taking a deep breath, he turned towards her and this time flashed her a welcoming smile. "Regardless, it's good to see you," said Naruto with a warm smile. He moved forward to touch her, but just when his hand was about to reach her he suddenly stopped. Memories of their encounter in Wave came flooding back in his mind, and he clearly remembered that she had not forgiven him. That didn't bode well for their relationship, and since it was still uncertain as to where they stood, he prevented himself from doing anything that would displease her. Much to his surprise, she snaked her arms around his chest before pulling him into a tight, warm hug. He was hesitant at first, but after a few seconds of contemplation and seeing her lack of objection, he slowly raised his own arms and gently embraced her. Kurenai was extremely relieved with his action. At the same time, she couldn't help but see that he was a little taller now and had a short beard on his fair face. At the same time, this warm feeling only reminded Naruto of how much he had sacrificed for Konoha. To think, they had grown so apart that he found himself hesitating in giving her a mere hug. The woman in his arms was the only reason he was still willing to fight, to endure the injustice being done to him. His only dream was to create a gentle world for Kurenai, a place where she could live her life peacefully, and for that he would go to any extent, cross every boundary. "I missed you, Naruto," said Kurenai happily, bringing a smile on his face. "The feeling's mutual," replied Naruto frankly, making her chuckle. After enjoying in the sweet embrace for a few minutes, eventually Naruto broke the hug and was now looking in her eyes. A short strand of her hair got in the way, but was gently removed by him. She also seemed to register his new appearance, searching for any signs of illness which Haku had mentioned, but surprisingly he seemed quite healthy, meaning the problem was definitely inside his body. She went forward to claim his lips, but a firm finger was planted between them as Naruto stared in her curious eyes. "Where do we stand, Kurenai?" asked Naruto in a straightforward manner, getting straight to the point. "Is it really important right now?" "To me it is," was his sharp reply, making her sigh tiredly. Resting her head on his broad chest, she happily nuzzled into the warmth of his skin, and she was grateful that he was giving her time to answer the question, while gently caressing her back. "I've thought a lot about everything that's happened between us, the mess that you have gotten yourself involved in and the things you've done as well," started Kurenai quite seriously. "And what do you feel now?" asked Naruto patiently, even if his heart was beating faster with every second. She chuckled mirthlessly as she tried to say her final answer. It had taken a lot of time and courage on her part, but she was finally ready to say this. "I forgive you." Those simple words, which were barely more than a whisper, removed a huge burden off Naruto's heart. After all, it was one thing to forgive yourself for the shit you've done, but to be forgiven by the person you've hurt was a whole different and much more important matter. And now that his sins were forgiven, he could finally put his past behind and walk towards a different future. That's my answer, now you tell me, where do we stand? Should we continue where we left off or, suggested Kurenai hesitantly. She was unnerved when he broke the hug again and walked a few steps away from her. Judging from the painful expression on his face, made her heart sink further in the sea of darkness. We can't. It's over, said Naruto bitterly, trying his hardest to sound uncaring and cold. Looking into her shocked eyes, and the pain that came in them was destroying his heart, but this had to be done. It was for her bright future, and for that he was willing to do the right thing. Why? Her simple question, combined with the tears emerging in her eyes, did little to change the cold stare he was giving her. I don't care about the past, I love you, Naruto. And I want to be by your side no matter what, pleaded Kurenai, as her entire body started shaking. You're annoying, said Naruto coldly, making her take a step back in shock. Her eyes widened in shock as she tried to say something, but only small gasps escaped from her suddenly choked throat. A mocking smile came on his lips as he looked at her bemusedly. Sobs what? Are you saying? Asked Kurenai in a heartbroken tone. Just what you heard. I have no interest in carrying on that relationship anymore. This is my answer, said Naruto frankly, as she came forward and grabbed his collar roughly. Is it because of Haku? Or do you love someone else? Asked Kurenai desperately, hoping to dear God that this was just a bad dream from which she was supposed to wake up. That's none of your business. Though I can't deny that I'm attracted to Haku, said Naruto lecherously, even as her sharp fingers teared apart his collars. You're joking, replied Kurenai disbelievingly, as one flick of his hands made her loose the grip she had maintained on his collars. Turning around, he simply started walking away from her, even as she tried to outstretch one of her hands to grab him until. Think what you want, I merely consider you a friend now. Thank you for everything, but it's over. Kurenai, said Naruto harshly. He remained firm even when he heard her collapsing on her knees, as the sounds of her sobs slowly started to increase. Even then he didn't back down and maintained his composure. You're lying, said a tearful Kurenai, as he glanced at her sympathetically. Please don't make this more harder, Kurenai. You're a shinobi, so act like one. Whatever we had is gone, and the bitter truth is that I don't love you anymore. I'm sorry, said Naruto gently, while using all his force to suppress the passionate biju inside his body that was trying very hard to form a connection. Her tearful ruby eyes looked in his own for any sign of lies, dearly hoping that all of this was just a bad joke or a horrible dream. But after moments of looking into those cold blue eyes, made her realize that all of this was true. That Naruto had finally given up on her. I need to go, said Kurenai sadly, unable to bear the crucifying pain that was arising in her chest. Her heart was going through a series of fluctuating emotions, most of which were quite painful. She couldn't think properly, couldn't speak, couldn't look in his cold eyes anymore. She needed to get away or she might just die from heartbreak. The memories of their past, the love which they had, was bombarding her mind, while her eyes were still showing her that all of that was really over. The man she loved was no longer hers anymore. Closing her tearful eyes, she made a hand seal and started shunning away. And just before she vanished, she saw a regretful look appear in his eyes, and he said something that shocked her to the core. Kurenai, you must live on. As Naruto walked into the secluded corners of his personal room, he angrily slammed his fist against the strong walls, making a large crack. A few drops of blood escaped from his injured hand, but that pain was nothing in comparison to the pain he was feeling inside his heart. Just for doing the right thing, for making the most painful decision of his life. He didn't have any strength left in him, his willpower disappeared, and the stubborn, furious biju inside of him lashed out. What the hell was that, Naruto? Asked Kurama angrily, as the boy wiped the blood from his hand. The right thing, answered Naruto. You moron, she said that she forgave you. Kurenai was willing to forget everything and be by your side, yelled the fox, but was silenced when Naruto simply looked at him sadly. It was that very reason that this had to be done. I can't drag her into any further mess, clarified Naruto. She loves you, and still you, said Kurama disappointedly. Think what you want, because you can only see the rosy picture. Do you know how much she has been scorned due to her relationship with me? The people of Konoha took out all their anger on her. She received the same treatment which I got all these years until she was made captain of the new force," said Naruto sadly. "How do you know this?" asked Kurama silently. "I asked Hiruzen to regularly brief me about her. And what I learned broke my heart. Many of her friends and colleagues deserted her. Bitch, whore, slut, these were the derogatory remarks which she suffered daily. She was isolated, bullied and so much more. All because she loved me," said Naruto remorsefully, as a small tear slipped from his eye. "But she still loved you, or do you not love her anymore?" asked Kurama a little less aggressively. "The people's scorning has decreased ever since her successful campaign as captain during the wave invasion. She is slowly regaining the lost respect and is getting accepted back into the society. Kurenai is gaining her life back as a proud kunoichi of Konoha, and I would be damned if I condemn her to a life of suffering. I'm not like my parents. Call me selfish, but it is for her own good. For her to have a bright future," explained Naruto painfully. "You really love her, don't you?" asked Kurama silently. "She means everything to me. Kurenai is my greatest strength and my biggest weakness. She is the reason for my desire to keep on fighting, but I can't put her through the same suffering which I endured my entire life. Besides, are you forgetting that we are now in the final phase of this operation?" said Naruto seriously, as Kurama's eyes widened on remembering something. "So, that's why," thought Kurama in shock. "Are you planning to kill him during your meeting tomorrow?" asked Kurama worriedly. "I wish I can, but in my current state I cannot take that risk. He is a Sannin. Until I have my eye surgery and operation to heal my illness, it would be suicide to even lift a finger on Orochimaru. This meeting could also be a trap with the intention of capturing me. Tomorrow could very well be my last day," said Naruto calmly. "Is that why you said her to live on? Be a little optimistic, boy," encouraged Kurama in vain, as a remorseful smile came on the young boy's face. "Face reality, Kurama. Even if I survive tomorrow, I will be entering the enemy's den to fulfill the last part of this operation. And if I somehow survive miraculously, what's to stop Konoha from putting me in the ground? It can very well be a clean-up action to finish off loose ends," stated Naruto darkly, shocking the Biju. "Impossible, they won't do that. You're a soldier. An expendable asset, that's what I am. Ninjas have been sacrificed for much less in the past. My own experience in Root should make you understand how dark this world is. And if by Kami's grace and unbelievable luck, I am accepted back into the village and the truth of this operation is revealed. I doubt the foolish people would trust me. They'll find a new reason to blame me, to hate me. Since I am a Jinchuriki and powerful than almost all the ninjas and civilians in Konoha, they can't harm me as I'll simply crush them in retaliation. So in order to get back at me, they'll try to hurt, abuse the people closest to me, and the very first one would be," suggested Naruto. "Kurenai Yuhi. Precisely, the closer she is to me the more she puts herself in danger from both enemies within and outside the village. You heard her, Kurama. If I had not done this, then I doubt she would even hesitate in defecting from Konoha just to be with me. Despite the sins of Konoha, she is still loyal to the village. It would break her heart, but she would do it for me. Please understand, I didn't betray her. I can never do something like that when I've loved her all my life. If I'm supposed to walk this dark path and meet my inevitable end, then the very least I can do is save her from any more pain. Yes, it will be hard for her now, but with time she would move on and find happiness," explained Naruto in resignation, while walking towards his wardrobe. Watching the selfless boy putting on his clothes for the meeting made the fox extremely sad. The way Naruto had explained the situation with Kurenai had made Kurama accept his judgment. If Orochimaru or the enemies within the village knew that she was here, then it would be a disaster for everyone. But still, Kurama, you're the only one that I have left. My friend, my comrade, my brother, will you stay by my side till the end?" asked Naruto weakly, his tired voice showing the sadness in his heart as tears freely flowed from his eyes. The Biju had never seen his partner so devastated ever since Sai's death. The grief that was flowing through his heart even made the fox sad. In this moment, the boy needed him more than ever. At the same time, Kurama was also being burdened by a lie which he had told Naruto. A sin which the Biju had committed himself. "Naruto, I need to tell." "Kurama, please," begged Naruto desperately, his weak voice losing strength with every passing moment. Kurama tried to say something, but Naruto neither had the strength or heart to face such a truth right now. His heart seemed to be overflown by grief. Right now his emotions were not in control and he could go berserk if such a treachery was made known to him right now. Maybe Kabuto was bluffing about Rei's part. Itachi had told him that every loose end had been tied up and there were only a selected few people who knew about the cover-up operation, and all of them were Hiruzen's most trusted veteran Anbus. So, there was no way Orochimaru could know the truth. All of this could merely be a trap to lure Naruto out. Bringing his dead mother back to life may seem like an unbelievable gift, but knowing that you have a daughter would tempt any noble man to find her. "Yes, I will be by your side," promised Kurama faithfully, bringing a very faint smile on the sad boy's face. "Thank you, Naruto, you can run away. Leave all this mess behind and start a new life somewhere. You don't have to suffer anymore," said Kurama helplessly, as the boy wiped off his tears and gave a thankful nod. "Kurama, Naruto, isn't this enough? You've done well so far, but don't be so selfless. Think about your happiness for once. It is not a crime, you know," suggested the friendly fox, trying to persuade his friend. "Too many of my friends have died to get me to this point. They're a part of me. For their sake I will end the hatred in this world. With the power I possess, I will change this fucked up world. Till the very end, I will keep on fighting to create a gentle world where Kurenai can live happily. Where my friends and family can be at peace. A world where no Shins, Sais, Narutos share the same fate as mine. A world where children like Ria can go to school instead of training to kill people. That is my dream," promised Naruto with determination burning in his eyes. "The one who shall change this world shall be this child." Kurama still remembered Minato's words to Kushina, before the damned Hokage sealed him into this boy. In the end, it was turning out exactly like Minato predicted. His son could very well be the one who would change the broken ninja world. Looking into the boy's eyes left little doubt in the fox's mind about his intentions. For better or worse, Naruto was really going to change the world. The fact that he possessed an enormous power within him, and an even stronger will to endure so much pain and hatred, while still moving forward towards his goal. A person willing to sacrifice everything dear to him, for his precious people to be safe and happy while never caring for his own happiness. How could a human be so selfless? Never in his entire existence had he seen such a human. Just what was Naruto? Next day, Kurenai depressingly sat on the bed of her room. Her eyes had turned red from the tears she had shed. Her mind and heart were still trying to accept the shock which Naruto had given her. To sever all ties with her, what was he thinking? She knew Naruto was many things, but he was never an arrogant dick. There had to be some ulterior motive behind his actions. "Kurenai, you must live on." She could have hated him, cursed him, only if she had not heard him say those words while she was halfway through her shunshin. The devastated look in his eyes portrayed an entirely different story than the one he had told her. Did he somehow find out about the treatment given to her by the people of Konoha? That could be a very grave reason for making him do this. For a logical person like Naruto, her safety and happiness would always come before his own happiness. But there was no way he could have known that. He was out in the field totally cut off from Konoha. Unless he had eyes inside the village. Hiruzen. The old Hokage must have been keeping Naruto informed about the status of his loved ones. That could be the only possible way for Naruto to have known this secret. Or all of this could be a mere speculation of her naive heart. Maybe he had really fallen in love with Haku or someone else. Maybe Haku had lied about their relationship. If that was the case, then the girl was an even bigger liar than Naruto. There had to be a reason for all of this. And she had to tell him about Rei. Even if he didn't love her, she would tell him the truth. He deserved that much from her, and she was going to do it. With those thoughts in mind, she got up from her bed and ran out of the room. 1 hour later, Kurenai quickly arrived at the orphanage that was located on the outskirts, secluded from the rest of the world. It had been a long journey and she had gotten here as fast as she could. Naruto was a liar, she was sure of it by now. To think he still cared so much about her well-being, made him love the blonde even more than before. She saw Haku playing with some of the orphans and went straight towards her. "Where is he?" demanded Kurenai instantly, surprising the young girl. Haku looked at her curiously, but looking at the urgency in the older woman's eyes showed that something was wrong. "Akira-san, you just missed him. He went on some new mission," said Haku casually. "Where?" asked Kurenai worriedly, but was disappointed when the girl shrugged her shoulders. "I don't know, he never tells anyone where he's going. But I'm sure he'll be back in a few hours," suggested Haku confidently. "Damn it, Hurricane Bridge." Wild gusts of wind freely flew across the vast forests, while two people could be seen standing on the small bridge. One of them had silky black hair that reached up to his waist, while his predator-like golden eyes were strong enough to make even the strongest warriors fear for their lives. Dressed in plain gray garbs and black pant, he was wearing a purple rope belt which was tied in a large knot behind his back and blue tomo-shaped earrings. A creepy smile could be seen on his pale face, as he looked at the young blonde boy before him. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Naruto-kun." Chapter 59. The Sharingan Devil. Naruto wearily observed the man standing in front of him. To say he was nervous would be an understatement. Yes, he was an Anbu captain and had performed many dangerous missions, even an S-rank mission. But facing off against a Sannin in his current or any state at all. Yeah, he may be naive, but he was definitely not stupid. His heartbeat was increasing rapidly, while a small bead of sweat rolled down his forehead. His eyes were still locked towards Orochimaru, never blinking, never flinching. He had to project the illusion that he was a badass motherfucker with whom Orochimaru would refrain from fighting, if he faltered even for a second. Then the creepy bastard before him would beat his ass. And that would be uncomfortable. "You're creepy," said Naruto flatly, in response to the earlier greeting and predatory grin which Orochimaru had given him. To his surprise, the man merely smiled, and gave a fake bow of gratitude. "I'll take that as a compliment, dear Naruto-kun," replied Orochimaru with a small chuckle, as Naruto narrowed his eyes. "Speak quickly, I have very little patience," said Naruto coldly, trying to project his best poker face. He had a reputation of killing more than 300 Anbu and stealing a forbidden scroll right from the center of a fucking hidden village. And even if he was nervous as fuck, he had to act like he wasn't even unnerved by standing before this man. "That I can see. Well, tell me, why did you betray Konoha? What is your true goal?" asked Orochimaru seriously, and frowned when the man laughed hysterically. "Laughs, is this what's this meeting for? Man, you're even more boring than I imagined. But as a gesture of good faith, I'll tell you why." "I was bored," said Naruto sadistically, as the Kyuubi face palmed on seeing the boy's antics. There was no way such an answer would be acceptable to Orochimaru. "What the fuck?" This was the Kyuubi's first reaction when, instead of calling out the boy on his lie, Orochimaru smiled even more creepily than before. What were these two humans, psychos? "You really are an interesting boy, Naruto-kun," complimented Orochimaru with a certain glee in his voice, as Naruto merely scoffed. "Tell me something which I don't already know." "My turn. What the fuck do you want from me? And what can you offer me in return?" asked Naruto slyly, greed easily visible in his eyes. Something which didn't go unnoticed by Orochimaru. Kurama was simply stunned. Was this really Naruto? It actually reminded him of Yami Naruto that had vanished ever since Sai's death. Either Naruto was a badass actor who could adopt any mask, or the fox frantically looked around his cage that was situated inside Naruto's mind, and a new kind of fear ran through his heart when the sound of footsteps echoed in the dark chamber. He was dreaming. "What do you want, and what can you offer me in return?" asked Orochimaru in counter. "I want power, the strength to destroy my enemies. I would not be the weak person that I was in the past, on whom people stomped every day. I want everything," said Naruto seriously. And what if I give you this power and ask you to destroy Konoha? Asked Orochimaru bluntly, and sharply observed the boy's reaction. It was this moment that would show him what was inside the boy's heart. Was he really the cold, uncaring bastard that was he portraying himself to be? Or, even the Sannin was confused when there was simply no reaction from the boy, he merely remained stoic. That's it, asked Naruto disappointedly. Interesting, thought Orochimaru, the way this boy was behaving, it was as if he didn't give a rat's ass about anything. So, will you join me in destroying Konoha? Asked Orochimaru in satisfaction. Only if your offer is interesting and satisfies my personal interests. All of us are merely selfish humans, so no need to do it out of the goodness of my heart, said Naruto sarcastically. Fair enough, you certainly are not naive like most people your age. I'll give you 10,000,000 Ryo for your services, and another 15,000,000 for the forbidden scroll that you possess. This is besides my generosity to make you more powerful to fight against your enemies, and to give you your mother back while revealing the truth about your daughter. Ray, said Orochimaru deviously. The Sannin was extremely pleased when a shocked look appeared on the boy's face, as his eyes widened in horror. Naruto's mindscape. Kurama froze on hearing the girl's name being said. He was further mortified when Naruto's breathing stopped. Blank flashbacks started appearing in his mind. They were empty right now, but Kurama could very well see where this was headed. He had to stop it right now. Naruto, don't listen to him, yelled Kurama urgently. No response. The worried Biju called again, but was rewarded with the same response. What the hell was going on? Why was Naruto not listening to him? Yo! A wide-eyed Kurama looked towards the dark areas of the mindscape, as a replica of Naruto emerged from it. He looked the same as the real Naruto, except this one had demonic red eyes. You! Growled Kurama angrily, and charged ahead. Alas, the Biju was sent sailing away by the iron bars of his cage as the new entity before him laughed hysterically. Oh you stupid beast, don't do any more retarded shit. You know, you can't get out of this little cage, chided Dark Naruto, and received the full-blown bloodthirsty glare of the nine-tailed fox. Most humans would have died right there, but this person laughed. You're messing with him, accused Kurama, making the entity scoff. Ignorant fool, I am Naruto's subconscious. His inner self, and I am not the one messing with him, he's the one who's calling me, answered Dark Naruto with an arrogant smirk etched across his face. Impossible. Whatever, you can't deny the truth. And I know what you did. There were hardly any moments in his entire existence which made the giant nine-tailed fox, the strongest Biju of the world, cower in fear. And this was one of them. Yes, you know what you did. Bad for you, I know it too, said Dark Naruto proudly. How? Asked a terrified Kyuubi, as Dark Naruto tapped his own forehead. You can wipe out a person's conscious mind with the help of Mangekyo Sharingan and various other ninja arts. But you can never wipe out his subconscious, it's the most sacred place that stores everything. You can even call it the soul of a human, the ultimate and most dangerous part of a person. I am that part, Your Highness, explained Dark Naruto, and gave a fake, mocking bow to the Biju. This can't be happening. You're not real, Naruto banished you on that night, argued the Kyuubi desperately. Correction, he didn't need me that night. And I'm very much real. The only drawback of being the subconscious is that I have to follow Naruto's wishes, and right now he is calling for me, to know the truth. He's recalling each and every memory, said Dark Naruto smartly. You think it's that cut and dry? You know what happened and you want to tell him? Asked Kurama incredulously. Yup. He could snap, he could disappear, he could. Don't you get it? I want that to happen. All of you keep on lying to him. Pretend to be his friend, while betraying him at every chance. He's so fucked up that is becoming a hypocrite and is simply getting caught in the same mess again and again. I'm gonna change that, promised Dark Naruto, determination shining in his cold eyes. I'll stop you. You can try, bitch, challenged Dark Naruto. And for the first time, the most powerful Biju found himself to be utterly helpless. Ray, Orochimaru couldn't help but smirk on seeing the helpless expression on the boy's face. People like Naruto had a great weakness: they desired family above everything else. As only those who had felt the pain of that loneliness could understand the importance of family. Even he had known this pain in the past, as such he could claim he understood this part of the boy's nature. "You don't know who she was," said Orochimaru calmly. "I don't remember," said Naruto slowly. He had heard that name somewhere but just couldn't remember who it was. "Of course, she was among the countless Anbu you killed during your betrayal, when you stole the Forbidden Scroll," stated Orochimaru seriously, and if previously the boy was shocked, then now he was mortified. "No, you're lying," said Naruto desperately. There was no way he would kill his own child. It was simply not possible. A picture was tossed straight towards him, as he shakily caught it. And when the boy looked at it, his eyes widened in horror as there in front of his eyes was the image of a blonde girl dressed in Anbu uniform. She had the same facial structure, same eyes, same nose, same lips. It was as if she was a bloody clone made from him. My sources inside the village came upon this information, when I ordered them to verify whether you killed the Anbu for real. I was not disappointed when this claim was proved. In those documents her death was covered up, her name was changed along with everything. After searching for a few weeks all around Konoha, I was finally able to find out where she was buried," explained Orochimaru briefly. "How do you know this? All of this could just be lies," said Naruto defensively, although his heart was breaking with every proof being presented before him. "It's simple. Years ago a commander within the Anbu forces contacted me and asked me to create a super soldier. I was actually given a donor's DNA, blood samples and some other scientific stuff. At that time, I didn't know who they were from, and the source paid quite a heavy fee not to inquire into this further, and simply create this soldier," explained Orochimaru mysteriously, effectively hiding the parts that it was Danzo and how they had partnered up with each other in the past for mutual interests. Had he known that Danzo was trying to make a clone daughter of Naruto Uzumaki, then instead of giving it to Root he would have kept her. The contract be damned. But at that time, he was on the run and his pursuers were catching up to him and destroying valuable research laboratories in their pursuit. Decades of knowledge was getting destroyed, and he had bitterly agreed to this contract while in return Danzo had not only paid a heavy fee, but also reduced the heat on him to some extent, allowing him to go further into hiding. However, it raised an even more dangerous question: how did a Root super soldier end up under Hiruzen's Anbu army? Granted, he had no contact with Danzo and his organization since the past few years, and those sneaky bastards always stayed hidden. But there was simply no trace of any Root activity. Either Danzo was planning something big, or something else was going on here. He had directed his best spies to find out the truth. It was only a matter of time before this mystery was unveiled. Even Anbu's death have to be documented for record purposes. The Anbu you killed that day were made to follow the same paperwork protocol, and I found her fake records. Everything about her story was altered and she was effectively buried in the abandoned Uchiha clan territory. Her remains can be found here. The moment I looked at her face and at your picture in the bingo book, I discovered the truth, admitted Orochimaru honestly. The Sannin had to admit the cover-up operation was simply ingenious. Hiruzen had gone to great lengths to cover up Rei's Root past and connection to Naruto, but in this process of creating a fake identity he had left an invisible proof of his deception, which Orochimaru had easily caught since he was her creator. After all, no scientist worth their salt could ever forget their own creation. And hiding the girl's body in the abandoned Uchiha clan territory, where nobody ever lived or visited, was also quite smart. Seeing the boy trembling satisfied him immensely. If Naruto was even half the child of Uzumaki Kushina and Minato Namikaze, then right now he would be drowning in a sea of guilt and sorrow. Just like his father. It was quite fascinating to watch humans. The more they progressed, the more they remained the same. No matter how much the boy denied it, he was the offspring of that couple. Everything about him was a mixture of those two. His looks, his behavior, his fighting talent, strong body and chakra. Taking all of these factors into account, and if his prediction was right, then it would be best to leave this area right now. He had dropped the bait, now the target had to approach him. Orochimaru very well knew how brash, hot-headed the people from the Uzumaki clan were. Emotional idiots. That was the term through which he recognized them, and the anger that would erupt in this boy would burn anything that came in his path. And by all means, he didn't want to be the one to face the brunt of the boy's mad rage. He had once seen Kushina going crazy, and let's say it had not ended well for many people. Better to leave the emotionally unstable Jinchuriki alone for now. Now you know the truth. If you wish to join me, then come to this place. Then we shall discuss in detail the terms of our partnership. It's up to you now, Naruto-kun, offered Orochimaru slyly, and tossed a paper slip near the boy's feet in which the location was mentioned. Giving him one last glance, the Sannin vanished from the area with a quick shunshin. Few minutes later, Naruto collapsed on the ground, and clutched his head as a devastating pain started arising inside his head. The more he tried to remember this girl, the severe the pain would get. It was as if there was this invisible wall that was stopping him. He tried harder, again. By now the pain had increased to unbearable levels, as if his entire mind was set on fire, while being electrocuted at the same time. And then it suddenly stopped. He slowly opened his eyes and found himself in a blank white plain. Looking around, he came face to face with a very familiar entity that was looking at him sympathetically. The person standing before him walked forward and knelt before him. It was none other than his alter ego, who seemed quite sad on seeing his current state. Remember. The truth. The Mangekyo Sharingan was activated in the eyes of Dark Naruto, and the entire plane started displaying flashbacks. Naruto found himself staring at memories of his assault at the root base. Seeing Sai beside him, alive and fighting, made him sad, but he soon replaced that feeling as he wanted to know what the hell was going on. As he continued the massacre, he found his past self explaining the story of Rei's existence, and then it happened. "Stop it, Captain Naruto. How could you, Captain? I looked up to you, I admired you. Danzo-sama told me so many things about you. You were my hero. I'm proud of you, Rei." Flashes of their fight in the root base, their little conversation, and her feelings towards him were revealed to him. The happy and sad memories coming back to him with full force, as the Mangekyo of his alter ego showed him the truth. Naruto saw his past self bringing her unconscious form outside the root base, and his talk with the Anbu commander. About how he wanted Hiruzen and Konoha to protect her, to keep her safe. "And remember. The betrayal," said Dark Naruto harshly. And the scene changed again to find his past self sitting beside Itachi having a casual conversation, until the Uchiha's Mangekyo activated. Flashback. Few weeks ago. Naruto found himself standing near Kurama's cage. The unconscious form of his past self lay motionless on the floor, completely immobilized due to the genjutsu casted on him. He also found Itachi standing near the cage, looking at the furious nine-tailed fox that was glaring at him. "How dare you, Uchiha!" growled Kurama furiously, and scratched his giant nails at his cage. For his part, Itachi remained stoic without displaying any emotion on his face. "Listen to me, Kyubi. I need your cooperation in wiping out Rei's memories from his mind," said Itachi honestly. "Scoffs over my dead body," replied Kurama harshly, making the older Uchiha sigh. This was going to be a long ordeal. This comes directly from the top. The Hokage does not want to make Naruto any more unstable than he already is, even you know that he is broken. How will he react when he knows that his only daughter died by his own hands in an accident? Asked Itachi seriously, making the fox flinch. Even then, this is wrong, said Kurama furiously. He'll snap, Kyubi. Naruto is not like me, he has too many burdens on his shoulder. Too much emotional trauma. It has not been very long since the Root massacre. He is still recovering from his previous partner's death and still blames himself for that. You have seen it. If he succumbs to his inner darkness, suggested Itachi gravely. He let that threat hang, and waited for the fox to contemplate the consequences. Kurama still remembered how close Naruto's alter ego had arrived in overriding the boy's will, and making him go berserk. If not for Sai's sacrifice, the entire Leaf Village would have been destroyed that day. But Sai was not here anymore. he was buried deep down in a grave. The fox doubted Nono had the power to subdue Naruto, or even bring him back to reality if he snapped. Rei was very important to Naruto, she was the closest person in terms of his blood family. And he cared about her deeply. He's in a critical stage of this mission, if he loses his stability then everything is over. He'll die, warned Itachi. But, even if he lives somehow, he'll just be a dead man walking. The burden of killing his own blood will haunt him forever, the friend you care so much about will be gone. A miserable life, but you can change all that. Let him forget she ever existed, and everything goes back to normal, offered Itachi stoically. The ferocious fox slammed one of his paws on the steel bars of his cage in frustration, as a tired sigh escaped from his mouth. Do it. Naruto watched as the procedure of memory destruction was completed by Itachi, while his friend vanished into the darker corners of his cage. And then everything went black. Flashback end. Dark Naruto saw his original trembling on the ground, his hands were shaking as his terrified eyes looked at them. The tears in his eyes had dried up, replaced by a horrified look that showed how terrified Naruto was in this current moment. It's my fault that Rei died, confessed Naruto in a broken voice. So you finally got it, commented Dark Naruto distastefully. Naruto looked at his other self, the only one who had showed him the truth. The one who remained faithful to him, and revealed such a treachery done to him. You'll just sit there, blame yourself. And keep on blaming yourself forever. But it won't change anything, said Dark Naruto harshly. Naruto had to avert his eyes, as the person standing before him was spot on with his analysis. After all, he did blame himself for Rei's death for failing to protect her. You never change, Naruto. It's all your fault, chided Dark Naruto. The alter ego walked around the broken boy and frowned when the person never even looked up to meet his eyes. Was he this much hurt with the revelation? It's obvious, isn't it? Whose fault it is that things ended up like this? Was it an accident, fate, or coincidence? Asked Dark Naruto sternly. He saw the boy's fists clenching tightly, as a few tears fell from his eyes. So, he did get the point. All of this is simply a combination of the mistakes made one after another. And who was the one who made those mistakes? Questioned the alter ego seriously. Grabbing the boy by his hair roughly, the subconscious form lifted him up to look him straight in the eye. It was you. Dark Naruto could not help but like the boy's silence. It was for the first time that Naruto didn't have any arguments to counter the accusations laid on him. No sense of high morals, no beliefs, as the world had finally crashed down on him. Every person is responsible for the shit that happens in his life, one way or another. Get this through your thick skull, your life was already a piece of shit due to being a Jinchuriki. But the reason you're in even more shit, which is given the glorious name of Operation Ghost, because you're the dumbest, ignorant fool ever born in this world. An idiot who never understood the ways of the world and got tricked by people over and over again, scolded Dark Naruto furiously. It all started by Konoha tricking you for years, then Hiruzen tricked you by making you loyal to the village. Then Danzo tricked you by creating Rei, getting Shin killed along with the rest of your friends. And the irony is that you unconsciously tricked yourself by agreeing to this mission from where there is no going back, so naive. You didn't even know that there was no light at the end of the line. The only reason you're even dealing with this entire operation, with the Root massacre, was because Hiruzen fucked up. He let a monster like Danzo run things easily, he didn't stop the civilians who abused you for years and only intervened when things got physical. That cage failed to kill his own student out of sympathy and emotions, which ultimately led to all of this mess. In the end, you're nothing more than a henchman trying to cover up a foolish old man's mistakes. It's really true, war means old men talking and young men dying, explained Dark Naruto bemusedly. He tapped his index finger a few times on Naruto's forehead, as his broken counterpart just stared at him with dead eyes. His will to live, his beliefs destroyed with one treachery after another. You think it's better to hurt yourself than to hurt others, you're too good, too selfless. Which is why you're going through all of this. If you had lived for yourself, been a little more conscious about your own dreams, wishes, ambitions instead of being an obedient soldier, then none of this would have happened. Despite being a captain, you chose to be nothing but a pawn, said Dark Naruto disappointedly. The real Naruto simply averted his eyes from the piercing gaze of his counterpart. Every word he said hurt terribly. But he could never deny that all of it was true, Rei's death and this treachery being a live proof of this mess. He was shocked when his subconscious form showed him the horrible treatment given to Gaara the same way. The flashes of Sasuke losing his entire clan due to Konoha and Danzo, and in the end his own lifeless body beside Orochimaru's body signifying the end of Operation Ghost. While the people of Konoha and Fire Nation went on with their lives, as he vanished from history. The people close to him being saddened by his death, but that was the end of it. You see, this is the end you have chosen for yourself. Don't. Why are you crying? You chose to hurt yourself for people who don't care about your feelings. So nice and wonderful person, you are. But you know, real heroes like you, Shin, Sai, Rei will always be cursed in the world. While people like Danzo, Hiruzen, our parents will be cherished as heroes and worshipped forever. That is the justice of this world, said Dark Naruto sadly. Naruto's shoulders slumped in defeat due to relentless attacks that made him aware of the true reality. Those words hurt so much, but were so true as well. Ka-chan, Tu-san. Why did you leave me alone in this hell? Asked Naruto tearfully, as his alter ego wiped the falling tears off his cheeks. You wish they had chosen you over the fucked up world. But they couldn't or didn't. Whatever it may be, it doesn't change that you're all alone now, said Dark Naruto sympathetically. I wish they had lived for me, said Naruto sadly. Even if it meant destroying Konoha? Asked Dark Naruto seriously. Yes, yelled the devastated boy, even if it meant letting every person in the village die. Even if it meant that, was Naruto's tearful reply. He was silenced when his subconscious form enveloped him in a warm hug, taking away the never-ending pain that was burning in his heart. And for the first time he felt the pain lessen a little. That is the meaning of life in this world, where you have to devour others. Our parents couldn't do that, and so did you. In order to prove yourself better than them, you did the same thing. But that's not kindness, that's weakness of yours. Can you still continue to be on the side of getting hurt? Asked Dark Naruto seriously. No. Can you allow such injustices and treachery be done to you again and again? Never. Do you have the strength to stop it? Yes. The alter ego tentatively looked at Naruto for answer, but the boy still had his hair covering his eyes. However, the silence and the determination that was in Naruto's eyes had satisfied him. So, do you accept me? Asked Dark Naruto seriously. No. Dark Naruto coughed up a lot of blood from his mouth, as Naruto stabbed his right hand clearly through the entity's heart. The large hole in Dark Naruto's chest only made him smile, as he started getting absorbed within Naruto himself. He looked at the boy, only to find a soul-terrifying, chilling gaze. I will surpass you, promised Naruto darkly. The alter ego merely smiled as he started to get absorbed within Naruto's body. Putting his hand on the boy's cheeks, he decided to ask a final question before he was absorbed within the boy. So you admit that you were wrong? Asked Dark Naruto silently, and was rewarded a ferocious glare. I'm not the one who's wrong, what's wrong is this fucked up world. Replied Naruto angrily, hatred burning in his eyes. Dark Naruto merely smiled before vanishing from the empty plane. That will do, brother. Kurama had attentively stared as Naruto and his alter ego stood several meters away from his cage. Both the entities were silent and stiff as rocks. It was as if their bodies were here while their souls were in some other mindscape. And then he saw the dark ego vanishing, and Naruto's entire body glowing brightly. Damn it, why did the boy have his back turned towards him? I remember her. The fox took a step back in fear when Naruto's cold, murderous voice echoed through the empty mindscape. A monstrous amount of pressure descended upon the area, as the boy turned to face his partner. His dark Mangekyo Sharingan eyes pierced straight through the fox. I remember everything. Chapter 60. Valkyrie. I know what you have done, Kurama. I know what you did to me. Kurama stared in horror as the full-blown, soul-terrifying gaze of Naruto's Mangekyo landed on him. The intensity, the ferocity of the gaze sending shivers down the Biju's spine. He didn't feel anger in those eyes, instead it was something far more worse and horrific. Something evil. My friend, my ally, my betrayer. Kurama's heart broke on the last part, as he averted his guilty eyes from the boy. Naruto, let me ex. There is no need for that. I'm not interested in anything which you have to say, said Naruto harshly. Gathering the little courage he had left, the fox looked up and saw the same terrifying gaze visible in the boy's eyes. He had seen the same dark gaze in a man decades ago, and he still remembered the man with fear as well as hatred burning in his heart. Judging from the boy's demeanor, he was totally disinterested in hearing any type of explanation, or even confession. The only thing left was accepting the punishment for the sin he committed. I did it for you, my friend, said Kurama silently, as the boy scoffed. You're mistaken, Kyubi. The fox's eyes widened in shock as heard that derogatory title being conferred back on him. It had been years since he was called that name by the boy, from the day they became friends and he told his name to the boy. Never once had Naruto again called him that. We're not friends anymore. All of my friends are dead, said Naruto remorsefully. I'm sorry, Naruto, replied Kurama sadly, but the boy merely shook his head. Don't be, it was I who was wrong. I trusted you and everyone, so I shouldn't be angry over this treachery. The real friends of mine died fighting by my side, saving me, the ones who never lied to me. Their absence in this moment is far more painful than the treachery which you and everyone did to me, said Naruto honestly, further breaking the fox's heart. I never wanted to hurt you, I just. Kyubi, I'm not interested in any explanation. It's over, said Naruto finally, voice devoid of any feelings. Then punish me. Naruto looked at the giant fox before him who bowed down before him voluntarily, and looked at him with his large pleading eyes. Punish me, torture me. Take all of your pain out, suggested the fox calmly. No, what? A small part of Kurama's heart was relieved on hearing those words, maybe there was still some hope left. You did what you felt was right, just like me. The only difference is Kurenai forgave me for my sins, while I have nothing left in my heart in order to give anything to you. But I can never trust you again, whatever reasons you had it will never change the fact that your crime is far greater than mine. Participating willingly in destroying every single memory of a child I so much cared about. Rei's death is on my hands, this pain will haunt me till the end of my life. So like I said, it's over. We're done, declared Naruto harshly, terrifying the fox as he understood the grave meaning behind those words. Naruto, don't do this. You think by yelling at you, physically punishing you all of this pain inside of me, and the guilt in your heart can go away. That we can start from scratch again. Don't be so naive. You betrayed the one human who trusted you, cared for you, considered you a friend only to stab him in the back. As I walk through this earth all alone, you will feel the same pain. The greatest pain of loneliness in this jail of yours, said Naruto seriously. What are you doing, Naruto? Asked Kurama worriedly. I was a soldier of Konoha, not a toy which can be used and thrown. All of you repaid my loyalty with betrayal. The people with power think they can get away with anything. What happened here today will change this world forever, and no one can stop it. It's time to change this fucked up world. And this is just the beginning, promised Naruto darkly, his evil voice reminding Kurama of an ancient Uchiha of whom this boy was a descendant. Naruto, listen to me. They wanted a war, and I shall give them one. I will take the fight back to their land, their people, their blood, said Naruto vengefully. You will destroy everything which you've fought so hard to protect all this time? Asked Kurama incredulously. I protected a corrupt, evil village which used me callously, always covering an old man's personal failures while bearing all the hatred. They took everything from me, my parents, my childhood, my friends, my life. But it ends now, yelled Naruto furiously, as large waves started rising from the water below them. So you will destroy all of them? Asked Kurama hesitantly, making the boy laugh mirthlessly. You can't see the dreams of the future I have in mind. It's time for a revolution, time to change this fucked up world. if I'm supposed to walk the path of destruction, then I shall become carnage itself, promised Naruto darkly, making the fox glare at him. I will stop you, growled Kyuubi, as Naruto narrowed his eyes dangerously. Is that so? Then, Kurama was shocked when Naruto's Mangekyo Sharingan spun so quickly that it completely blanked out the Biju. Was this the power he gained by accepting his inner self? Had he accepted who he really was? All that darkness, anger, pain was finally accepted. If that was the case, then it was over. Naruto Uchiha commands you, henceforth you shall become my slave. At first, the effect didn't happen as the strongest Biju courageously fought against the new power that was invading his will. But with every passing second, it was getting far more powerful and dangerous. He glanced towards Naruto, who was crying tears of blood, literally. That red liquid was freely falling from his eyes. It was so gruesome than any other time he had used those eyes. The boy was using all the power he had, never caring about the consequences, so that was the level of his determination. Amaterasu! Kurama screamed in agony when almost half of his giant body got engulfed in dangerous black flames. The fire burning every single part of his skin mercilessly. The pain was simply unbelievable. And then it happened. Due to being momentarily distracted with the pain, the Biju lost the concentrated willpower which he was using against Naruto's Mangekyo Genjutsu. And one moment of slippery was all the boy needed for victory. You tricked me. These were the Biju's last thoughts before his mind went blank, and the shape of his eyes changed. Naruto collapsed on the ground, panting harshly, bleeding badly from his eyes and coughing blood from his mouth. But his gaze was fixed on the cage as the giant fox that was tightly grasping the steel bars collapsed on its knees. Yes, Your Majesty, said Kurama devotedly. As the Biju fully kneeled on the ground, he said a few words that would not only change his faith but that of the entire world. All hail Naruto! Sasuke was aimlessly walking through the Uchiha district. He was simply sending streams of his chakra over the area searching for any kind of presence. Anko had suggested that it was one of the tricks which could be used to locate strayed animals, birds or even hiding humans. But like every other day, he was only rewarded with the result of a few birds flowing here and there. Shaking his head, he simply sent out one last wave and his eyes widened when he felt a familiar presence near the banks of Naka River, which was a few clicks away from his current position. He knew this chakra, this presence. It can't be, said a shocked Sasuke, as he quickly ran towards the located position. His heartbeat increased rapidly, as his mind tried to accept the information presented before him. What the hell was he doing here on the outskirts of the village? Hopping across rooftops, he quickly started reaching closer and closer, until he reached his destination. And what he saw surprised him completely. There was Naruto kneeling before an unmarked grave, his shoulders slumped in defeat as dried-up tears of blood were visible beneath his eyes and mouth. To put it simply, he looked devastated. Ha 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 ha. Sasuke was shocked when he laughed madly. At first it was low, then it increased until it finally transformed into a full-blown laughter. But this one was not from joy, there was a sea of agony, grief, anger behind it. Naruto. His friend's laughter stopped abruptly, and as he looked at him standing a few meters away from him, Naruto was shocked at first. But in less than 3 seconds, the shock vanished and was replaced by emptiness as he stared back at the grave. Uncaring of Sasuke's presence near him, the Uchiha heir walked towards his sad friend and looked at the grave, but sadly it was completely blank. He scanned the ground beneath it, and saw a body there with the help of his sharingan. It was a child, a little girl. And judging from the color of the faint chakra remaining in her corpse and the same color of his friend's, it didn't take Sasuke long to deduce that either she was a member of Naruto's deceased family or something else. Are you going to try to take me back to the village? Asked Naruto silently, not sure of what his reaction would be when he heard the inevitable yes. No. Naruto seemed visibly surprised on the response from his former teammate. There was something strange in Sasuke's eyes. A feeling which Naruto was starting to understand without exchange of any words between them. Why? I don't care about Konoha, it may burn for all I care. After what they did to you, they deserve it. Naruto, I know about the beast inside of you, said Sasuke sympathetically, as Naruto averted his eyes back to the grave. So, his friend had somehow discovered the harsh truth burden placed on him. I see. I don't blame you for doing what you did. They had it coming, but you shouldn't be here. It's too risky, advised Sasuke sagely, getting a hesitant nod from his friend. You're right, I did what I did. But what are you planning to do? If you hate Konoha so much, then what are you going to do? Asked Naruto seriously. I have declared my holy war against Konoha and this evil ninja world. Now that certainly attracted Naruto's total attention, as he stared at his friend in shock and admiration. He searched for any kind of deceit or lies, but was surprised when Sasuke showed him the memories of him killing two Hyugas in Wave. Sasuke, I have no love for this village or this world. It's bloody, it's corrupt, it's fucked up. But I will change it, one way or another. Or I'll die trying to change it, promised Sasuke firmly, as Naruto smiled. You too, huh? Asked Naruto calmly, receiving a surprised nod from Sasuke. Sasuke watched as Naruto stood up on his feet and looked him straight in the eye, and the activating of a pair of Mangekyous in those eyes shocked him completely. Deciding not to be defeated, he flashed his own ultimate eyes, surprising Naruto. Is this a joke? Asked Naruto mirthlessly, making Sasuke scoff. I can ask you the same thing. Both boys seemed quite surprised with their eyes, but decided not to ask how they got it, as that part was certainly quite painful for every Uchiha. Point taken. So you want to simply destroy this entire fucked up world? Asked Naruto curiously, and chuckled when Sasuke shrugged. Well, most of it, I guess. The 5 great villages are my first target, said Sasuke seriously. He had willingly explained his plans to Naruto as he was the one person on whom Sasuke could count on as an ally. Naruto was not only his best friend, but was also a person who understood him the most in this entire world. Sasuke knew it might have been a mistake in revealing his plan, but he dearly hoped that his friend would join him. Alone, he could only do so much. But with Naruto and his powers, they could truly bring a real change. He saw his blonde friend sighing disappointedly, and looked at him. Follow me. Sasuke found himself standing in the dark hall of the Naka shrine. The light in the silent corridor was quite dim. He looked at Naruto, who was also standing beside him, his friend's eyes fixed on the Uchiha clan's secret tablet. Destroying the 5 great villages will not solve anything. Your intentions are good, but your plan has many flaws, said Naruto flatly. Then what do you suggest, genius? Taunted Sasuke, as his friend merely smirked. Before that, Sasuke, I need to tell you many things about which none of you don't know, things. Stop it, Naruto. Huh? Asked Naruto confusedly, and stared at his stoic friend. I don't care what you did or why you did it, the only thing I'm interested in is bringing a revolution. If you are taking part in it, then that's all I need from you, said Sasuke flatly. Why, aren't you curious? Asked Naruto worriedly, as Sasuke shook his head. Truth only brings more pain and distracts our mind. When I discovered your fate as a Jinchuriki, I couldn't think straight for weeks. So many questions ran in mind. Why you didn't tell us? What more you concealed from us? So many questions, and ultimately that only served to distract me from my goals. I will ask the truth when I want to know it, and that time won't come until we're way ahead in this revolution. The only thing that matters is the change, and not the reasons for us bringing it. Because no one gives a fuck about our reasons, our pain, isn't that right? Asked Sasuke bemusedly. Still a jerk, I see, teased Naruto. And you're still the naive idiot, retorted the dark-haired Uchiha, as Naruto smirked. What if I tell you I have a better plan which can truly bring change? Will you serve me then, fight by my side as my most trusted comrade? Asked Naruto seriously, making Sasuke narrow his eyes. Like I said, the only thing that matters is the result. If your plan is more effective for our revolution, then I see no harm in that position, but I won't be your pawn. Even if you're stronger, I won't become your slave, said Sasuke flatly, getting a firm nod from Naruto. You're the only one who understands that change is necessary, and I would not let you become a slave at any cost. We'll be partners, but before I say my plan there is something which you need to know about it, explained Naruto hesitantly. Just say it. Naruto simply came forward and whispered a few words inside his friend's ears. Sasuke's eyes visibly widened in shock, on hearing Naruto's words. Was he really going to go this far? He had really underestimated his friend's desire to change this world. Naruto, said Sasuke hesitantly. Will you still fight by my side? Asked Naruto frankly, as Sasuke looked at the Uchiha tablet. The Uchiha walked towards that ancient stone and narrowed his eyes at the inscribing on the lowermost area. He was quite surprised that Naruto's eyes were able to read him so clearly, even from that distance. Now that he thought about it, this plan also had the same objective of destroying the ninja world. Sasuke's own objectives of crushing the 5 great villages would be fulfilled, and even more than that. The entire world would be changed forever. Do you understand now, Sasuke? With this we can bring real change, a true revolution. Keep in mind that we'll become the enemy of the entire world by doing this. Not only the shinobi world but entire humanity will rise up against us. Do you still think you can do this? Asked Naruto crisply. Still, the 2 of us are not enough for all of this, suggested Sasuke honestly, making Naruto smile as his friend was at least considering the offer. I already have a powerful ally on my side, a friend who hates this world. I can also gain a few more allies who would willingly support us. As for the rest, I'll simply bend the people to my will. I'll go all out for this plan. The question is, will you? Demanded Naruto, while Sasuke finished reading the entire information on the ancient tablet. Without further delay, the Uchiha turned around and kneeled before his powerful friend. For this plan to succeed, they'll need a lot of power which Naruto had. I, Sasuke Uchiha, pledge myself to you and our revolution, promised Sasuke confidently, making Naruto smirk. Did you really have to follow your clan tradition of acknowledging a new leader? Asked Naruto bemusedly. My father was hell-bent on making me learn this. Naruto, you do understand that once we start this, there is no going back. Even for Kurenai. I can't give her any special treatment anymore. This is bigger than you, me or her. Besides, it will ultimately create a world where she can live peacefully. Fine, I accept your promise. In return, I too pledge myself to this revolution and promise to go to any lengths to accomplish it. You have my word, promised Naruto. Understood. Do you have a name in mind for this revolution? Asked Sasuke curiously. Valkyrie. Sasuke simply arched an eyebrow on the name, but shrugged and accepted it regardless. He was never one for theatrics. That department belonged to his charismatic blonde friend. Shin, Sai, Rei, my root comrades. I've lost everything. This is the result left now. Perhaps it's retribution for my sins. But that is why I must thank all of you. With this life which you helped prolong, there is still something that I need to do. Indeed, for me there is only this way, thought Naruto sadly. Who would have thought that the 2 of us would be doing this? Regardless, with Valkyrie, the ancient world can get destroyed now and there can be a genesis to a new world, said Sasuke proudly. His eyes shifted towards Naruto, who had hatred and determination burning in his eyes. His friend simply stepped forward and clenched his fists tightly. My enemy, the shinobi world. In my path down to hell, I shall have you accompany me.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as well as checking out the author on fanfiction.net.